start the stream. You look sufficiently like you're wearing a hat. It's true. Same with me. Look out. On top of. Keeping it in place. Now, that should be enough time for us to be live. Are we live? We are. On top of. Keeping it in place. Now, that should be enough time for us to be live. Are we live? We are. On top of. Keeping it in place. Now, that should be enough time for us to be live. I need you to talk. Are we live? We are. On top of. Keeping it in place. Now, that should be enough time for us to be live. I need you to talk. Are we live? Oh god, now there's gonna be a triple delay. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? That's why.
We're gonna do it.
That's why.
Talk,
they can't hear
talk,
you.
talk, 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 talkity, talkity, talk, talk, talk.
Give it a second. Give it a second to catch up. I should be. I believe I fixed it. For some reason, my desktop audio is muted. Oh god, there's gonna be a triple delay. Hold on. We gotta wait for the stream to catch up.
Talk, talk, talkity, talk, 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 talkity, talk,
Well,
talk, talk,
stop,
talkity, talk.
Stop.
Talk, talk.
Stop.
I don't hear anything.
Hold on.
We're gonna do it.
Come on. Catch up.
Talk, talk.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. We're good. It's good. We're good. Now share it on Instagram.
Yeah, you can hear me. You can hear me. I think you can hear you. I think we're good.
We can hear everybody. And now we do that. I don't know if you noticed, I have my podcasting headphones on.
This is the YouTube preamble. Spotify doesn't get this.
Spotify doesn't also get to see
Us wearing Santa hats.
doesn't get to see this. So you actually can see it in frame. Otherwise, it just looks like I'm wearing a red hat.
Red and white.
You gotta get the ball in there, Jordan.
You gotta get the ball. You gotta get the ball.
The ball is 90% of the gag. Otherwise, what's the point? Also, this hat's way too small and it makes my head look big.
I mean,
what's your goal to make me look ridiculous, Jordan?
There weren't a whole bunch of options. You should be thankful. I almost got you the one that had the beard attached.
All right, Jordan, I'm not hearing you say no.
To what?
Are you trying to make me look ridiculous?
I don't have to try very hard. You bring 70% of it to the table by yourself.
It's just the indignity, I'll tell you.
Hey man, I'm also wearing a hat which doesn't fit me the greatest. It fits a little bit. Looks like it fits a little bit better than yours. You must have a big head.
I have a big head. Let's do this. Jordan, I'm going to remove the hat.
No, you're not. You're going to wear it for at least 25 minutes.
Until it's time for Christmas time, Jordan. We have a whole Sonic bit to do first.
Oh, we're doing Sonic first?
We're going to do Sonic first.
Before the news?
No. After the news, but before Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Exactly. In 3, 2, 1.
I'll read that after we do the intro.
Okay, I'll put the hat back on. Okay, I'll put the hat back.
Oh, do you also have chat open?
No.
Part of your Broadway World podcast says no one has to try hard to do that, Justin.
Haha. There, are you happy now? Are you happy
Yes.
now? In
Yes, I
3,
am.
2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see all sorts of other podcasts from our great friends. And if you'd like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. That is artemedia.org. A-R-E-T-E media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
Ho, ho, ho!
And a holly jolly Merry Christmas to everybody on the Spur of the Moment podcast. As always, I am your host, Justin Spurr. And like every week, I'm joined by my co-host in an equally silly hat. It's the incomparable Jordan, everybody. And for the Spotify listeners, you can't see, but we're wearing Santa Claus hats. That's what you're not seeing right now. This is what you get for watching the YouTube version. You get to see silly Santa hats and costumes.
You get props.
You get props. We do props. On today's show, we have some news, including the Superman trailer dropped this week. That sure is interesting. The Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio Karate Kid movie. We got a first look at that.
Put on the jacket. Take off the jacket.
Put on the jacket. Take off the jacket. And then got Spider-Man. We don't got a ton of news this week because everyone's on holidays. And then we jump into we're gonna talk about Secret Level, and we have a Sonic 3 review. And then afterwards, yes, we're wearing the stupid hats because it's Christmas. We're gonna be talking Christmas
part
stuff.
of your Broadway World says it's not silly, it's festive.
Okay, whatever adjective you choose to use. We're doing Christmas stuff. We're talking about Santa Claus. We're talking about Rankin Bass. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be delightful. It's been a delightful week and one unpleasant movie, but otherwise mostly delightful week. Let's start off with Jordan. Just for fun. The Masters of the Universe movie has casted Jared Leto himself, as Skellator. And I'm just kind of like,
okay, I don't not see it.
I don't not see it, but also, how is he going to be unpleasant and method act his way through this one? What is he going to just send random bones to people?
I mean,
he's going to give them random bones.
The femur.
A femur. He's gonna leave a femur at each of their dressing rooms. Here's a femur, everybody.
Yeah. I guess.
Is he gonna shave his head and paint his face? How is he gonna get the character of Skeletor, Jordan?
I feel like this is a reference to something that I don't know.
He did a bunch of method acting for the Joker. It's this whole thing. He does the method acting.
Got it.
Yeah.
I understand.
But yeah, he's gonna be Skeletor. So apparently Zoe Saldana, Jordan, it's funny. Because I saved this story, and every time I read back to it, I thought it was like the other Avatar, and I kept getting confused. I'm like, what are we talking about Avatar? But Zoe Saldana has shared details about the third Avatar movie, Fire and Ash. Speaking with Deadline.
Oh, Blue People Avatar.
Blue People Avatar, yeah. I don't. Here's the issue, Jordan.
See, I just real quick tangent. But yeah, he calls it Avatar, which makes people think of the cartoon. And does he do something to distinguish or make them separate? No, he makes each of these movies about one of the elements, thus creating the Avatar.
Right. So it's just okay. So I didn't just behind the scenes knowledge for the show. I don't pre-read these stories. I just pull them up, and so a lot of times I learn about these articles like on air. And this one basically says, the way we left the Sully family, they're mourning heavily the loss of their child. So I do believe that we will carry on a great deal in the third installment of Avatar. They're on this journey of acceptance and accepting who they are. did the child die at the end of the last one? I don't actually remember what happened at the end of the last one.
I watched it like once, and I don't really remember it very well. Yeah, is it maybe?
Maybe, I guess. I just remember we
I
watched
was
it
kind of
once. It
just
was in like it was. I think it was in like high frame rate, and it made it really hard to
yeah.
follow. And I've never
It
rewatched it.
wasn't. Yeah. I remember that. I think we watched it in 60 frames per second, and it just
Yeah,
made it weird.
and yeah, difficult to
And yeah,
follow.
it just was also another one of those examples of it came out way too late.
Yeah, at least for yeah, exactly. But hey, it made a bajillion dollars, so people wanted it. I guess it's just yeah, it didn't do anything for me. It was really long and
Uh,
really slow and not very memorable.
yeah,
I
that's the word that I would use to describe it is unmemorable or
Yeah,
forgettable.
forgettable. I don't remember anything about it. I honestly don't. So I was hoping for something a bit more like descriptive. I guess I don't know. So Jordan, the creators of Beyond the Spider Verse have promised that that third one will have a very satisfying ending, which I don't believe because the last one sure didn't.
I mean, the first one did. The second one didn't have an ending. It kind of just stops. So
Right?
the third one has a real in terms of having a satisfying ending. Here's what I'll say: the third one has a real low bar because it just has to have an
It
ending.
has to have an ending, right? Yeah,
Like
it's that's what's funny. I
it
was like,
has
all
to
right,
it has to not just stop in the middle of a very important and climactic scene. That's all
right.
it has to do.
Right? It's pretty low bar. It has to have an actual ending. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's talk this Jackie Chan, Karate Kid movie that's coming out. Ralph Macchio. So my question is to the people who have seen Cobra Kai: do I need to have seen Cobra Kai to get this movie? Do you get that vibe? I was trying to figure that out. I watched this trailer twice and I couldn't figure that out.
I don't know enough about that show. I don't think so because I don't think this the character. I don't think he really shows up in that. It's about his bully.
No, no. Ralph Macchio does. He's very much a. From based upon what I've seen in random clips on the internet, it kind of comes to a point where him and the bully merged the two schools together into one school. So yeah, he's like a major antagonist in like the second season or something.
Oh, then I don't know. Maybe you might have. I mean, I definitely get the feel like you definitely get the vibe that you had to have watched the Jackie Chan one.
Definitely, you have to watch it. Yeah, and then that's the question.
To
Then
to the
with
to the point where it's like it the way that he talks about the kid in this movie, it just feels like it should have been um what's his name from the first one, Jaden Smith.
yeah, I mean, my question
Um
is the Jaden Smith character going to come back? I think we've talked about this before, but having now seen the trailer, I definitely think he might.
Really, because watching the trailer, I get the feeling he won't.
He'll show
I
up
get
in
the
like a
feeling
blink and you miss a
I
cameo.
I was more gonna say I think he'll be like name dropped.
Oh, maybe.
Like
Yeah. I don't know.
I think Jackie Chan's character at one point might be like, oh, one of my previous students or one of my first students or whatever, and he might mention him, but I don't think we'll see him.
It's just odd. The entire purpose of this movie is like merging
Mm,
the two schools of being
Like
like it's Jackie
maybe
Chan and it's Mr. Miyagi.
the most that I could see is and I don't see it, but the most that I could see is him having a picture of him in his office.
Yeah, I could see that. That I could see. I could believe that. I don't know. I
Um,
don't know. I don't know.
but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely it it's weird. It gives this weird like finale feeling.
Right? Right?
Like it's yeah, it's a
It
weird
doesn't look
one
like any
for
of the
me.
other characters from Cobra Kai. Like it doesn't. You don't see. I forget the character's name, but the bad guy, the bully guy, who's the main character. He doesn't look like he's in it.
Yeah,
It just looks like they got.
to be fair, it's
Uh,
a very short trailer.
yeah. That's true. It is. I'm still excited for it though. I mean, I really do have to watch Cobra Kai. I might maybe when this movie comes out, that'll be my excuse to finally sit down and we'll do it for the show. Give myself an excuse to watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and the original Karate Kids, the three, and the first three.
The first three Karate Kids.
I've seen the first one for this show. I don't, not the second or third one yet, though.
I've never seen the second or third one. No, never seen them. I've also never watched Cobra Kai. And then again, we don't have much news today, but it's okay. We've got so much other stuff to get to. But
That's true.
the only other thing that's really left to talk about is that Superman trailer, baby. Oh, I hated that. Don't ever let me do that again. I don't like that. That felt
I'm
bad.
judging you.
That felt bad. As soon as I did it, it felt bad. But no, we're
I
talking
mean,
about.
it's okay. I'm pretty sure you peaked your mic anyway.
It's good. It's good. Superman trailer. I am really excited for this movie, and I think this trailer looks really, really good.
I am interested, which is a lot for
Cautiously
me.
optimistic.
Uh, ha- Hakime says Cobra Kai is pretty good, but the later seasons are a bit meh.
Huh. All right then. I don't know why. It never really. I've always been a Karate Kid fan. It just never really tweaked me. But then I've had many a people recommend it to me. So, and I really like the Jackie Chan one. So
Yeah, I like the Jackie Chan one, and I didn't really. I remember the originals, but I don't really have strong memories of them. The
I
first one,
I
anyway.
only really remember watching the
Um,
first one, and that's because it was dad was like my dad was like
yeah,
wax on, wax
wax.
off. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, but this one has my interest. It has my
it
interest.
has my interest.
But
Superman.
that's part of why I wasn't very interested, or I didn't really have much of a care for the Cobra Kai's, because I knew that was going off the back of the originals,
Yeah.
which I don't have the same nostalgia for that,
No.
really.
No, me neither. No, not in the same. Not really. Not
Not in the
really.
same way that I do like certain shows.
Yeah.
But Superman looks interesting. He definitely feels like
He
Superman.
feels like
Um,
Superman.
and I find it very exasperating when I go into the comments of trailer, like the trailer for it, and like posts about it and stuff, and all the Snyder Bros are like, "Oh my God, like it looks so bad compared," and I'm like, "No, it doesn't. Shut up."
Shut up. If anything, there's a couple of shots that look a little too like there's stuff I don't love in it, which is like there's too many shots, and you pointed this out of him looking pensive, where I'm like
Yeah,
I don't like that. Like that's what Snyder did of him looking serious, and he's like that shot of him like going into the courtroom. I'm like I don't love that. That's too Snydery for me. Um,
also, I want to make a prediction. You know the scene that we see in the trailer where it's uh uh Clark Kent and his dad.
yeah.
Um, I have two predictions for that scene. Either his mom just died and they're mourning, or his dad is telling him that he has cancer.
I really hope they don't do the John. My favorite versions of the Kents are where they get to be alive. So I'm hoping they get to be alive in this one. But I did hear a theory that some people are saying it's like he's like a ghost, not a ghost, but like a it's like a fantasy,
Memory.
yeah, memory or something. I'm like I wouldn't love that, but I get it. It's kind of their function in Superman's life is often to die. It's what they're there
It's
for.
just that scene is them looking sad. The dad is crying. So to me, it's one of two things. Either his wife just died in that, if
I
even
could
if
see
it's a
that.
memory,
Yeah.
like even if it's a memory, it's like it's the memory of when his mom just died, or he just found out that he has
I
cancer.
just for me, there's just like as a function of what it serves to respect, it does feel a tad like it's just a direct response to um Zack Snyder's idea of Superman. Like the opening shot is him getting hurt, and it's like that's James Gunn's way of being like, see, he is fallible, he's just a guy. That's the and that kind of
Yeah,
seems to be the
there's
whole like push of this marketing. Like the first shot of the costume is him putting on the boots, being like, see, he's just a guy.
and I've seen people complaining, this again, the Snyder Bros complaining about how basic the suit looks compared to the one from their uh
Yeah,
ideal
yours
version.
is over designed.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like it because it's more simple and more
Right?
basic.
Like I
Like,
don't the stuff
it,
I don't like about it is the stuff that overcomplicates it. Like I don't like the high neck. I just don't like the high
yeah,
neck.
I'd have to bring up a picture of it, but there is a few things, and I think one of them was the high neck I didn't love. Um, but
But I'm loving
um,
underwear outside of the pants,
I like it because it's silly.
right? Like, yeah,
It feels silly.
we need to go back to my favorite Superman live action movie is obviously basic bitch of an answer, but it's the Chris Reeves version, and because in that movie he's Superman. Like my favorite scene in that movie is where he just like is flying around town stopping crime. Like my favorite shot in this trailer is of Superman saving that little girl deliberately. That's deliberately in there, and I love it. It's a great shot. It looks great, and that's Superman. That's what Superman
It
does.
also, yeah, it just makes him feel like more of a hero than we ever got from the Snyder version
Right?
of
And just
things.
as a
Where,
trailer, it's just a good trailer.
yeah, again, I hate. I'll be the first person to say I hate the DC movies, and this one has me interested,
Right? I mean,
which from me is high praise.
I saw someone say that we need to officially make the John Williams Superman theme song just Superman's theme song.
Is it not?
I mean, if it isn't, or if it isn't already, I agree it should be because like hearing it in this trailer, like the guitar, it was like, oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
feeling this. I'm
it
feeling this. This is
evokes
good.
Superman. It is
It is.
Superman as
It
far as I'm
is. It is.
concerned.
Even if you've never seen that movie, which I don't even think Jordan has.
No, I don't think I have either. But
Yeah,
you hear that music, and I know
that's
that that's
that's
Superman's music.
Superman. Yeah, Superman. He's on his
Da da
way.
da da da
Da da
da
da da
da da da
da
da
da da.
da.
Yeah, like and hearing it put the guitar like that. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I am. There's stuff in it that I'm like, I could take or leave. Like, yeah, obviously the additional superheroes. I'm like, I will say that Nathan Fillion just has Guy Gardner's haircut. I've seen so many videos comparing him to the comics, and I'm like, yeah, he's just got his terrible haircut from the comics. That's pretty spot on.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled about the other heroes being there.
Um,
Personally,
like
for me, it's your first your first foray into this universe. It should just be about Superman.
yeah, but the idea is clearly supposed to be that
That these guys are here, they're just part of the world,
yeah,
they
the world
exist.
already exists. We don't need to. There are just other superheroes around, and I much prefer that. I'm tired of being like, oh, he's the
Yeah,
first one, and we're doing an origin
no,
again.
that I don't like what. I'm not saying that I don't want these characters to exist. I'm like, he could name drop them. You can see like in a newspaper article about all these other heroes. Like you can have them exist without them really needing to
Yeah,
be
but
there.
I'll take like Guy Gardner shows up and he's like the third Green Lantern and he's just there for like a couple which he is. It's one scene. I guarantee you that one scene we see him in the trailer. It's the same as when he showed up in Guardians 3 where it's like the one scene he shows up for. I don't imagine they're gonna be a major part of the plot. It's gonna be a Lex Luthor um versus Superman thing, and I much prefer this. Well, on appearance so far, I'm way into Nicholas Hoult as Super as Lex Luthor.
Oh, he's way better than what's his name from the last one, who was just bad.
Yeah, apparently
This guy feels like Lex Luthor.
apparently he's come out and said that he lost roles because of that movie, and like I don't want to be like good, but like good.
Jesse
Yeah,
Eisenberg, you mean?
yeah.
Good.
I want to
You
be
should.
like I want.
That was a terrible performance, and you should feel bad. Good.
I don't want to be like good, but good, good,
Good. I
good.
do. Good.
Um, And anything was there? I'm just trying racking my brains. Was there anything from the Game Awards that's worth talking about?
I mean, there's that Laura Bailey, Aaron Paul game, which looks
That game looked
phenomenal.
really fun. Was it Dispatch? It's a Telltale game.
Yeah, I believe it was Dispatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that game looks.
That, that,
Well, parts of that game look fun. The other parts of it look kind of dull. But
oh, no, no, no. We should clarify. The story looks good.
yeah, the gameplay.
Eh,
Okay.
I could take it or leave it.
I need to see it actually in like actual played out. Like the
Yeah.
trailer's not making it look good though. It's not making it
Yeah.
look good. Um,
Um, what else was there? I mean, there's a new Witcher which has canonizes apparently the ending that certain people don't like, which makes his
I heard.
adoptive daughter
I
the
was gonna say.
next player.
I heard the lead character's a girl, and the contingent of people on the internet who are like "boo girl" went "boo girl."
Yeah, basically.
This is
As
what
I understand
this
it,
is what I heard.
um, she in one of the endings of the game, the third game, because there's multiple endings. He hands his sword over to what I'm not big on Witcher lore, so correct me if I'm wrong. What I believe is his adoptive daughter.
Well, that makes sense. That
Um,
sounds like the kind of
and
story that would do that.
he hands his Witcher sword over to her, and he's like, basically, you're going to be the next Witcher. And now in this game, she's the character you play as.
I've never played one of the. I pulled out the third one once to play it, and I just didn't end up putting it in for some reason. I've never played one of those games.
I played a bit of the third one, and it was hard, and I fell off, and I've never finished it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I heard it was hard, and I was like, I'm not looking for. I'm in the I don't play video games for the challenge stage of my life.
I'm in the. It depends on which game.
Yeah.
Certain games I will, like certain games I have the patience for that. Other games no. Like for
No.
example, I've critical leveled Kingdom Hearts, for example. But like if you ask me to go and play Dark Souls, I'd probably drop it down to easy.
Right? Nah, dog. Nah, dog. I'm
Um
trying to think if is there anything. I'm done with the news stories, but I'm just trying to think if there's. I feel like there's one more that I was gonna bring up, but it's just not in my list here. Nope, I think that might be it. I think that might be it for the news. Unless you got any stories.
no, I mentioned the one that I mean,
Yeah. No. Okay. That's it. That's the news. That's it, George. Do the news theme.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da
That's enough. That's
da
enough. It's gone.
da
It's gone on
da.
far too long. It's gone on too long. It's enough. It's enough. Today's episode. Today's episode. We're off the rails already, Jar. Today's episode. There wasn't much news. It's Christmas time. What do you want? Everyone's on holidays. Um, Next week is probably gonna be
Oh.
just as bad. Um, that's why next week we're probably gonna talk about the Doctor Who Christmas special for part of the show. Um, Today's episode is brought to you by the annual Arties, everyone. The annual award show where you, the audience, can vote, put your vote in
For me,
for whoever you think is the best in the
which is
network.
me.
Which, hey, if you're watching this show, you probably think it's us. Vote for us.
Vote for us.
But like
Do
to
it.
be fair-minded, because I'm part of the illustrious Artie Academy, I have to say that you have to vote for whoever you feel is right, even if that's not us. But as the host
See,
of the show, it's us.
I
Vote
am
us.
I'm not part of this illustrious academy, and I'm representing me, myself, and Justin. Um, Vote for us. That's
I'm,
right, Justin. In the order of importance on this podcast, you come third after me and myself.
I mean that is totally fair. Uh, and so the link I remember this time is in the top of the description. You can go there, cast your vote now. You have until the end of the month to vote for us. Vote for us.
Please
Sorry,
vote
Jake.
for us.
Please vote for us. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. That's it. That's the ad spots really early in the episode this week.
Pretty please vote for
So
us.
so this episode has been split into two parts. The obvious Christmas special, and Sonic is also here. We're gonna do Sonic first. So we're gonna talk Sonic, and we're also gonna talk some about the show's Secret Level. We'll delay you a little bit on Sonic because we'll talk about Secret Level first. I didn't watch the whole thing because none of the other episodes
did.
interested me in the slightest. But for those of you who have not heard of Secret Level, it's a show. It's an
Oh,
anthology. And
thank you, Hakime. If I'm saying your name wrong, please tell me. She, they said you guys have my vote, lol.
excellent. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We
Thank you.
appreciate the
Thank you.
support. Yeah, link is in the description. But yes, we Secret Level. It's a anthology show on Amazon Prime where they take a video game and they do a way too short episode on each of them.
Teaser trailer. They do a teaser trailer.
They do an extended teaser trailer for the lot of them,
Like I'm not so I
or
did
an
watch them
introduction
all.
cutscene.
Yeah, that's a great way of describing it. Um, and I did watch them all, and I didn't know a good chunk of the games or what it came
Apparently,
from.
one
But
of the episode is
you know,
from a game that they canceled, just straight up canceled.
okay. But a lot of the episodes do feel like either they're I don't know what you would call it, like a test pilot, backdoor pilot, I guess,
Yeah.
for an actual full thing of
Proof of concept,
whatever
however you
the
want to put
episode.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Because for a lot of it, like it kind of stops right when it's getting interesting, as if it's supposed to tease you and go like, "Oh man, I want more of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Mega Man episode, for
Oh,
example." Where
that's
at
the
the end of it,
most egregious.
spoilers by the way for these
Yeah,
episodes,
we're gonna spoil them.
but the Mega Man one, it ends with him wearing the blue suit and he's powering up to go fight Wily, and it's like that's just teasing the rest of the
Yeah,
show.
that one's particularly egregious because that one's like 4 minutes long, and the rest of them at least get to be 10 minutes long.
Some of them, like a couple, two of them are like 15.
Some of them
15
get
is
to
the
be
longest.
15. Oh wow, wow.
Those are the
Or
longest
like
one.
the worst one, the worst one in my opinion, having not watched all of them, but of the ones because I watched the Pac-Man one, the Mega Man one, and then the final one. The final one's bad. Like that one's just straight up
The
bad. I
the
don't know how
final
you couldn't
one,
think that one's bad.
the final one feels like it's supposed to be a trail, like it. And this is where I
It's a
say I
commercial for
use again the word.
PlayStation.
Oh no, I was gonna say a teaser or a trailer for a Who Framed Roger Rabbit PlayStation movie style thing, where it's a crossover.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, no, it literally just reminds me of. I saw someone said it, but like one of those old, early, like mid 2000s PlayStation commercials. Like you just,
See, it doesn't for me because it has too much story.
yeah, but a lot of those trailers had way too much, had some story, or had a bit too much story anyway. But
Yeah,
it
no,
certainly
that one,
felt the
that one,
most.
I don't get the
It,
commercial
it,
vibe.
it
I
felt.
get a Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibe.
It felt the most lazy in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean they're all lazy because they're too short.
Yeah,
Like 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 the Dungeons and Dragons one is fun. You get to see Tiamat, like it looks pretty, but it feels like an opening cutscene for a video game.
and
Which
then
like
the
I
Mega
get
Man
I
one
get
was because they turned out they
I
were gonna make a game. They made a game based on that episode. Like, oh, it is just a
the
commercial.
the Mega Man one or the Pac Man
The
one.
Pac-Man one, I mean.
Um, yeah. I mean, like the Pac-Man one, that's an interesting enough idea, but it doesn't have enough time to really
Explain
get into
anything
it.
until you find out that they made a video game based on it, and you're like, oh, okay, so it is just a commercial.
Um, so I've heard that it's getting renewed for a second season, and
Yeah, I heard
the
that
the
too.
biggest complaint that most people have is that it's too short. And so it's like maybe do 6 episodes a season and have each of them be half an hour long
Yeah,
instead.
right,
Like
right.
like do less, and also I didn't see in the trailer. I saw Kratos, and I didn't see. Maybe he was in the PlayStation
He
one, and
pro
I missed
he
him.
probably was on the PlayStation one.
But
No, in
I didn't
fact, I
see
think he was in the.
Kratos.
I'm pretty sure he was in the PlayStation one.
I didn't notice him. Um, but
I think his Dad
yeah.
of
I
War
mean,
Kratos shows up. I
again, I
think.
didn't know. I didn't notice him. Um, it's I appreciate what it's trying to do, and if it had been longer, I think it would have been better received.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the number one thing. None of these episodes are long enough. None of them.
Like,
And
like,
some of them
like,
are
I just
egregiously short, and like the Mega Man
it's
one.
it's frustrating when when I know that this show received a fairly decent budget,
Yeah,
because it must have, if it got the right to all of these characters, it must have
clearly.
had a decent
And,
budget.
and it's not that they don't look
And
pretty. Like they like the Mega Man.
oh,
Sorry, not the
it
Mega Man. The
looks
Mega Man one looks
it
pretty,
looks
but the
it
Pac-Man one
looks
looks
pretty.
gorgeous.
I think the Mega Man one looks pretty too.
Yeah, that one also looks pretty.
Um, um, like they all look pretty. It's just clearly that's why, is because all the budget went into them looking pretty.
Right?
Um, so yeah, like it's frustrating when I know of shows like, for example, and it's on Netflix now, but when it first started, it was exclusively on YouTube for free. That show that you walked in and saw me watching the other day, The Amazing Digital Circus.
Yeah.
That's a show. That's a 20-minute show, 20-minute like episode long show, which they put out for free on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
if that show can make a full length episode thing on, I mean, I don't know what kind of budget they have, but they're putting it out for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You should
like
be
if
able
they
to. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the one which is able to afford characters from PlayStation and all these other consoles should be able to put out at least a 15-minute or 20-minute episode
And,
for
and
every one of your episodes.
and like I don't know, when you got shows out there like The Last of Us, which is actually putting effort into it, it's just like this feels so lazy and half-assed, and like I don't
It
know.
felt, yeah, missed opportunity is the
Yeah.
word I would use.
Like it's like, oh,
Um,
it's like every episode's like, oh man, it's just getting interesting.
yeah, that's my issue. Is it feels like a teaser for,
Or like one scene in a much longer thing that they have sitting off somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Like it just feels like so like they yeah, it feels like the creators of this show came up with this and are like, we can use this to test and see if there's enough popularity for any of these individual 5-minute clips to be a full movie
or in the case
or
of
or a
Pac-Man,
full thing.
or in the case of Pac-Man, it's to sell a video game.
Yeah. But even still, it's to test to see whether or not they could take that and make it into a full product,
Yeah,
whether
for
it be a
sure.
movie or a show or a game. That's just the point, is it feels like it's meant to
And
sell.
that Pac-Man episode
It's
is probably the most interesting because it is doing the most with its source material, but it can't do any more than it's doing, which is like, again, not enough.
Yeah, it's disappointing. That's the word.
Yeah,
Disappointing.
disappointing. The trailer looks so
So
cool.
if it's true they're making a second season, hopefully they will hear what the audience has said and learn from it.
Yeah, it's Amazon. I wouldn't get my hopes up, but we'll see.
Oh,
We'll
I
all hold our
don't. I'm just
breaths in
I'm just
three, two, one.
yeah.
Oh god. Speaking
Or
of
if you're gonna
disappointments,
or if you're gonna keep doing short ones, I want more than 8 or
right?
16 or whatever it was for the first season. Like I want like double.
Right? Double, double,
Take those episodes and double them.
double it, please.
And double
Um,
it and put and give it to the next person.
double it, pass it on. No. Speaking of disappointments, Jordan, it's time to move the bulb to this side. And it's time to live and learn and hang on the edge of tomorrow. Is that a spoiler? You'll find out by tuning into our Sonic 3 review. Cue the trailer, Justin, from the future. He did it. He put in the trailer. If you're watching this on YouTube later in the eventual YouTube video I'm going to make to stay SEO friendly, you will have seen a trailer. No, we're going to talk about Sonic 3. We'll talk about no spoilers up front, just general thoughts and ideas, and then we will go full bore spoilers, talk about the post-credit scenes, what we think the future entails, and who
Ooh.
dies. Nobody dies. It's a family-friendly movie. Nobody dies. There's some close calls, though. Jordan, what do you think of Sonic 3? No, what's the story for Sonic 3, Jordan? What do you think? Maybe we should say the story.
I mean, the story is, if you've seen Sonic Adventure 2, it's just Sonic Adventure 2.
But worse.
Um, it's different. It's a interpretation of the
Some
story.
choices I didn't like.
Um, it had choices that I didn't like. Spoiler-free version of events. Um, Before we watched this movie, we said that Gerald Robotnik would probably be the problem.
Oh, dear God, is he
Gerald
the
Ro-
problem?
Gerald Robotnik is the
He's
problem.
he's the problem. Maybe that'll be
Like
the
there's
YouTube video.
we
Sonic
will
3, Gerald Robotnik is very much the problem.
we'll go into details when we get to the spoiler stuff, but the spoiler free is just, he is what I don't like about that
Yeah,
movie.
he's just everything.
Um,
I don't even like the performance. Like, I don't even think the performance is good. Everyone's just saying the performance
li-
is good. I don't
like
think.
I said, he is what I don't like about that
Yeah,
movie. All of it,
everything.
full stop. Just
Don't
he.
like it. Don't like it. And
Um,
it's everything I don't like about the Jim Carrey Robotnik all culminating in one movie.
and then multiplying it by 2.
Then timesing it by 2.
Um, But other than that, Keanu is killing it as Shadow. Like
Oh yeah.
you can tell he's having a blast. You can tell all of the Shadow or the Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails actors are also
Yeah,
having a
shout out
blast.
to the voice cast. I mean, Ben Schwartz is always kills it as Sonic. Idris Elba once again as Knuckles is friggin'
Some
phenomenal.
some
Colleen
some of the
Chauncey
things
is
they
Tails, so good.
some of the things they managed to get Idris Elba to say as Knuckles makes me
You know,
laugh every
have you
time.
seen the behind the scenes footage of him recording Knuckles? Oh
No.
my god, it's so funny. I'll put it in here in post. But it's him. He's wearing the Knuckles gloves as he's doing the lines.
That's awesome.
He's just like really
Uh,
into it.
but I even don't think the human characters are too much in this one.
They're not. They're in it the correct amount. Just objectively
Um
the correct amount. And what they get to do is fun.
um um and so yeah, that's as much as I can say spoiler free.
Yeah, yeah, the whole cast is great. Yeah, the human characters get to do some fun stuff. They get a gimmick that with a transforming head. That's really fun.
Also, Ben Schwartz, if you ever happen to watch this random podcast, just know you can also come on here anytime you
You
want.
are free to come on our show anytime you would like, sir. We will definitely have you on. We will talk about whatever video game you want to talk about. We can play video games. We have the technology.
We could do it.
We could
We
we
could
can,
make it work.
we'll make it work. Um, if you can get Keanu, that would be great. Keanu's Canadian. You know, he's come represent
He's
us.
welcome. He's welcome here too.
He's welcome to. You're a colorful bunch. It's just such a fun
Uh,
line.
right? Like he's
You're
just
a
yeah. It's
colorful
fun.
bunch. It's a very fun movie. It's the we're at the point in the franchise where it's just we're at that point where if you didn't like the last one, did you like the first two? No, probably not gonna like this one very much. Did you like the last two? Then you're really gonna like this one. That's pretty much it. That's it in a nutshell. Would you say? Would you agree?
Hakime says, I was surprised that I liked the first one, but was disappointed in the second one. So I was hoping for this one to be good.
Oh, but I quite like the second one. I mean, it does get a little much in the second act, but that climax is just so good, and just the fact that they got Egg Robo, like, you just don't understand coming from Egg Robo in Sonic 3 when I was like 7 years old. Egg Robo in Sonic 3 to
I
see that
mean,
on the big screen fighting Super Sonic, you just don't even
yeah,
understand.
for me in the second one, it's definitely the moment where Sonic turns Super Sonic, and I'm like, it's a surreal moment of I can't believe I'm watching this.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Now, here's my thing is and this is a problem with this movie is these movies have a problem with seriousness versus levity, and also there's just certain jokes that they overdo that just kind of stop being funny. Um,
I just find that I like Jim Carrey, and there's definitely there's moments where I enjoy him as Robotnik, but on the whole, like overall, he's too over the top for me as
yeah, he
Robotnik.
is. He by this one, it's getting to be much. And again, that
Like
could be
it's
because there's two of them this time, and they're like, okay, no, you know what? We've done it. If you like Sonic, go watch it. That's the spoiler free version. Let's jump into some spoilers because yeah, my God, Gerald Robotnik is awful. He is awful.
so
He's he's
hold
awful.
on. We're gonna do spoilers, but we're gonna give it like a couple seconds. So anyone who wants to just click out, and then editing wise, you can put up the spoiler
I
warning.
get that wow wow wow. There we go. That'll do it.
Okay.
Because yeah, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie. Which there's not. Well, there is. There's a big. We'll
So
wait till the very end to do the post credit and the mid credit scene because that's kind of a big old spoiler. But the rest of this
yeah,
goes exactly how you think it's gonna go.
I mean, if you've seen Sonic Adventure 2, if you've
If
seen
you've seen the
Sonic
first two
Adventure 2,
movies,
well, if you've seen Sonic Adventure 2, then you know exactly how this story is going to go because it's just Sonic Adventure 2.
I mean, it's not though
Um,
because it skips out so many integral parts of it. But I just mean if you've seen the first two movies,
no,
you
but I
pretty
mean the
much know where this is gonna go.
overarching story of what Sonic Adventure is. Shadow wakes up. Goes aboard the Ark. They use the Eclipse Cannon. Shadow and Sonic go supersonic, and Shadow to defeat the MacGuffin of whatever the
Yeah, what
story
I'm saying
is.
though is you know that there's gonna be a big laser and they're gonna punch a big laser by the end of it. Like if you've seen the first two movies, you know where this is going. Like there's not a
But
big a big cameo that's coming. Well, there is, but not in the
Well,
movie
there is,
itself.
but it's in the end
Yeah,
credits.
it's not in the movie
Uh,
itself. Like, there's no
Haki,
big.
Hakime says, "I like spoilers. It saves me time." Lol.
The biggest spoiler that you could probably hear is that, and to be fair, there's a spoiler that would be a spoiler had the marketing, because the movie really doesn't. It really wants the fact
It
that,
wants you to think, yeah, it wants to hide the fact that Gerald is alive for the movie, but they've spoiled the shit out of that in the marketing, and
right,
so it's like they play it like it's supposed to be this big twist, but it's like, well, we already know.
right,
We've
we
seen
yeah. The
we've seen
whole marketing has been it's Jim Carrey times two, baby. He's showing up.
like
He's doing
twice the
twice the
villain.
and every scene. There's no exaggeration where, and I think Jordan, you're going to agree with this. Every scene where it's the two of them is the worst parts of this movie. They are agonizing. They're
I would agree with
awful.
that.
Not one of them is good. Not one of them. The entire gag seems to be, look how close Jim Carrey can get. He's touching himself. Look, he's touching
Well,
himself.
so
Look at
so
him
here's what
dance with himself.
here's
Dance, Jim
here here's
Carrey.
here's one thing that I will say. I do all the scenes where Gerald is matching, like is trying to fool Robotnik by matching his energy and being silly. Those scenes are awful. The scenes which interest me and which I think had potential, missed potential, but had potential, is when Gerald isn't trying to fool Robotnik, and after he's pulled the rug out and he's just being like like an evil, I want to kill
Yeah,
everybody
but
dick.
he's still silly.
Those are
It's still
those are
not
the only.
working.
Oh, that's where I said it's a missed opportunity. But to me, those are the scenes, like the scene where he's like you're like Ivo, you're no Maria.
Yeah, it's
Like
cold.
that's the stuff that I'm like, I want more of that.
But like also it's just they constantly frame it as though Gerald is just using Shadow. Like it doesn't like that. You never see a moment where he's not completely insane. Where he's just like, even when he's like when they're running away, and you see the flashback later on to them running away with Maria before Maria gets shot. Where it still seems like he's like trying to manipulate them. Like there's never a moment of him being decent or normal. And that's the whole bit with Gerald, is he's supposed to be normal. Like
Well,
that's his whole
see
thing.
that's part of part of why that is like that. And like part of why it just feels like he's constantly trying to manipulate Shadow in this all goes back to the fact that in the games, Gerald Robotnik is Shadow's creator.
Yeah.
He made Shadow, so he views him like a son, right? Like that's kind of his entire perspective towards, or grandson or whatever. Like he views him as one of his own. Whereas in this, they just find Shadow. Shadow's
Well,
just some alien that they find, and uh, Words 789 says, meow. Reference back to the first Sonic movie there.
yes.
Um, took me a second to realize that's what that was. Uh, off rails there. Uh, yeah, no. So in this one, like Gerald is just a crazy scientist.
Right. Well,
He's
but I
not
mean,
like
they try
in the
to. They
game.
try to by having him be like, the kids are in danger. The kids obviously being referencing Maria and Shadow. But like
Yeah,
you're
but the
also
way
like
that
when
he's portraying him, it just doesn't work.
yeah, it's just not working. Exactly. It's just not working. And yeah, him being alive, they never explain it. They kind of hint that it's the quill that's been keeping him alive. And
Yeah,
like
Shadow's Quill.
Shadow's quill, and it's just like, yeah, man,
Which
it's just
I
not a
guess
good performance. It's not.
I
There's so many, like the
I guess
montage between him and him and regular Robotnik is agonizing.
oh, so unfunny. I guess maybe the quill thing as well is supposed to make us retroactively go like, oh, is that how Robotnik survived the Death Egg, like blowing up and him like it? Because as far as we were concerned at the end of the second one, we didn't know if he was alive or dead.
Well, I think maybe you could infer that perhaps maybe he had a parachute or some sort of. Well, I think the idea is because there's a lot of weird like sub pseudo, I don't know what to call them, romantic moments between Stone and Robotnik. Like it seems like Stone is
Yeah,
in love,
that's
but
a weird thing.
it's hard to tell because once again, there's kids who wouldn't shut up the entire movie, but it made it hard to focus. But I think at one point they Stone says something about saving him or rescuing him. So I think Stone rescued him.
Okay. Okay. Because I took it to mean like, oh, do the quills make them immortal?
I certainly think it clearly it's prolonging their age and making them older. I
Mm,
guess.
younger, making them able to live
Well,
longer. Because yeah,
yeah.
Gerald is supposed to be like 111 or
And it's just like
something.
this is another one of those times where it feels like this got at some point somewhere along the way some subplot something got cut out. It feels that way.
Oh, I mean, to me, it also just okay. To
Or
me,
the
it comes
plot also
across.
doesn't make any
To
sense.
me, to me, it comes across like in the original interpretation of this, they were gonna do the thing where Gerald dies and he was just a video, and like we saw him in flashbacks and stuff. And maybe I'm wrong, but it comes across to me like Jim Carrey was like, "I'll come back if I can be both of them together."
It definitely it definitely comes across that way now. Now that I've seen it, it for sure comes across that he yeah, that was part of his condition is he wanted to be two people. And also, okay, this is just a real quick unrelated aside, but people
Not
need
even
to
just that he
stop.
wanted to be two people. He wanted to be two people together. Like he
Yeah,
wanted to act against
sure
himself.
seems that way. Cause like man, I'm so sick to death. Tell me if you're sick to death of this too. Annoying clickbait articles taking quotes he said out of context on press tours.
Like when he was like, "Yeah, I needed the money,"
Yeah,
and then all I saw for weeks was Jim Carrey comes back from retirement because he's poor now.
right? Or like, the only way I'll come back is if they bring me a script on 12 plated gold. And Jim Carrey said that they brought him script on 12 plated gold. Like, no, obviously not.
No,
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 that's
he did. You
stupid.
idiot.
That's so dumb. It's like I need the money because I bought too much stuff, probably to a degree, but not the way you guys are spinning it. Stop being weird. You're being weird. Stop it.
I know he's been weird for years, and so now you're trying to get back into that headspace, but like, stop it.
Right? He's been pretty normal this whole time. It's been kind of fun. Although he does say the occasional weird thing that people just laugh off as a joke, which I always think is funny. Um,
Um,
but
but
yeah,
yeah, it's overall. That being said, so we've shit on the Jim Carrey parts a
let's just
lot. I
talk
do
about the
want
shit we like.
Uh, I was gonna say I do want to touch on stuff that I like. I love when they're in the Chow Garden
The
and it's
Chow
a
Garden,
restaurant
which is
In
which
Japan.
it's a restaurant. Yeah, it's a restaurant in Japan, so they can blend in.
Uh,
That's funny. I did think that was
I,
funny.
I I love the fact that they managed to get Idris Elba as Knuckles to say, "Sure, he's right. You do look like a
You
Pikachu."
do look like a Pikachu. I mean, he's got so many great lines. Breaking case of glass is great. Um,
Um,
I enjoyed.
uh, Shadow is killing
Oh,
it.
cannot be said
Oh,
about Keanu as
we're
Shadow.
talk we're talking about good stuff. I have to flip back over.
Um, Keanu as Shadow is great. The music, like I enjoy the fact that what woke him up was this soft live and learn on guitar. On guitar.
Yeah, the
Um,
credits say that there's also Escape from the City. When I inevitably watch it on streaming again, I'm gonna have to pay attention for
right.
that because I didn't catch that one.
The fact that
Um,
it's a double layer
I mean,
reference too. The fact that Eggman's ringtone is M.E. Eggman.
yeah, EGGMAN
Yeah,
Eggman.
and
Um,
it's funny not because that's his ringtone, but because that's from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That's his song
yeah,
from Sonic
yeah,
Adventure 2 Battle. Like
yeah.
that's really good.
And then when they have the big fight against, I mean, the fact that they had the Eclipse cannon, yeah, it didn't look quite right,
I
but
mean, the
looked
fact
close.
it did look
It
like
still unfolded and looked like his
it
face.
still looked like his face, which is good. I mean, yeah, my thing is they didn't. I guess they kind of had arc, kind of, because the eclipse kind of took the form of a version of that. Um,
Yeah, it wasn't quite
they
right, but
totally. I mean,
it was close
it was
enough.
close enough, and I did appreciate the fact that while Violizard did not make it in its entirety into the climax, he is there. He is there, and there's a really
Uh,
fun reference to him.
like so my thing is that
That
like
I thought that was
they
funny
could
as a
have
kaiju.
they
That was really
they
fun.
they could have had the arc. That's the frustrating thing. Like they had the whole testing with Shadow thing be on this military base, but like you totally could have had it be where it was like, yeah, we started out there, but my energy was too dangerous for the
Yeah,
planet, so
exactly.
we built the arc so that we could safely contain it.
I mean, you also could do the same thing with Biolizard and be like, they tried to create their own version of Shadow, and it turned into this monstrosity, and then have it mutate into like a lizard thing. You totally could.
Um,
To be honest with you, I thought Gerald was gonna turn into Biolizard. Also, the reason why I'm like it feels um like this got butchered at some point during some portion of this is because his defeat is really anticlimactic, like really anticlimactic. Like they come in and they
Yeah.
bat him against the energy beam, and he explodes.
Robotnik, yeah, Ivo bats him against, and he bug zaps
He
him.
bug zaps him, and he explodes in like electricity. And Ivo's just like, I'm cool with that. And there's no emotional payoff or any. There's no like big confrontation. There's no. They just fight some. And yeah, they are gun robots, but they don't really fight a big thing. They just fight an army of like not very interesting robots. Like, yeah, I kind of. It feels like maybe at one point, yeah, like you say, BioLizard was in this, and they wrote him out.
Yeah, like they were
I
like,
wouldn't be
oh,
surprised if it
are
was like Gerald turned
are
into the
people
BioLizard.
gonna are people gonna get this reference, or are they just gonna think it's Godzilla?
Yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like yeah. I just felt like it was like leading up to like they gotta fight Gerald Robotnik and a big robot, and they never did. It was very strange.
Um, that being said, when they're both Supersonic and Super Shadow fighting against each other, that moment is sick.
They do more
But
than one
nothing.
reference to the them back to back on the Sonic Adventure 2 logo, Adventure 2 Battle logo. They do it twice, and it's
Yeah, they
amazing.
do.
My favorite
Um,
bit is when they do the theme song. It breaks in the music, and then they turn back into Supersonic and Super Shadow. It's like
da da
anyways, and he
da
kicks back in
da
again.
da 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 da
It's like
da 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 da.
where were we? Oh yeah, right. And then it kicks back in again. I thought that was really funny.
Um, yeah. So the moments that are good are really good.
No,
The
they're
moments
really
that
good.
it's just the and again I say it's the Gerald Robotnik
It's the
because
Gerald
if
Robotnik
it
of it
had
all.
if it had been just Robotnik,
I
I
could get
I,
I
I
could get like it's like yeah man I like the climax of the last one, but a lot of it's ruined by Jim Carrey mugging to the camera. Like it's okay
yeah.
in the first one, but by the second one it's like yeah I kind of like, but it's like it's not to say that Eggman is an ultra serious character either. I just don't know where the balance is.
Well, that's where it really depends on what version of Robotnik you have. Because, for example, the zany craziness that Jim Carrey is bringing reminds me of the Saturday morning, the Sat AM, where it's with Grounder and it's like stupid and silly.
Yeah,
But like this version of the world feels like it should have the Robotnik. That's not the one from Sonic X where he is more like zany. It feels like it should be the one from Sonic Adventure 2,
yeah.
who is a little bit more grounded and a little bit more normal, and that's kind of what makes him good in that game, right?
And also
Um,
Gerald has to be normal. That's the whole bit. He's
Well,
normal.
not even just that he's normal, because he's still a super genius who's way too smart and can create things that make no sense. He's supposed to be good, is
Yeah,
the point. He's
but
supposed to be good, and so it 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 doesn't work. Like, okay, you want to have him be alive. I don't like that as a choice, but okay. Then you need to have in those scenes where you have Shadow at like with Maria in the past, in the
yeah,
flashbacks, you need to also have Gerald there and show him being a good guy.
yeah.
So
But
at the point where they're running away and Maria gets killed and dies, he also snaps
yeah,
there. Like
but
there
no,
has
what I
to
mean
be
is
a
like
discern there has to be a discernible difference between who he is like
yeah.
in the present
I
and
like
who he is in the past, and there's not.
if you want like what I mean when I say normal, I mean like he's not like he's just a regular guy. Like he's not like Eggman where he's like this egotistical maniac. But he's an
Well, that's where I say, yeah,
egotistical maniac.
he has to be good.
I mean, you can have a good guy who's an egotistical maniac. You can have a good guy who acts like
No, but
Robotnik and is like he could still be like Robotnik but a good guy. What I'm saying is he's like a
we're saying the
regular
same
person.
thing.
He's like a
We're saying this.
normal.
Yeah, we're saying the same
Yeah,
thing.
he's like just a regular guy, like a normal guy. Um, where yeah, he can't yeah, and then the whole idea is he converts the arc into a weapon. It's not originally a weapon. He converts it to a weapon in his madness. Yeah, you could have him be
Well,
like the Jim Carrey Robotnik, but you need a point where he's just normal, where he's just a normal
well,
person.
so actually, technically, on the arc, 70% of what he's doing is making weapons. And that's why in the original game it is a weapon. It has the Eclipse cannon. It's very much a weapon.
True.
He just converts it, and so he basically makes it so that instead of it just being the cannon, the entire arc is going to crash into the Earth and cause an extinction level
Yeah,
like
the
asteroid.
biolizard merges with the tip, and then he's like driving it towards Earth, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you could have just done that.
You could have. You
Like,
definitely could have. So, with that, we gotta talk about the future, Jordan. We gotta talk post credits. And hey, spoilers. This is the major spoilers for who shows up, who's going to be in the next one. But it turns out, Jordan, Metal Sonic.
Metal Sonic is going to be there, Amy, and we see in the post-credit scene we see that Shadow
Yeah,
survives.
and also Robotnik is dead. So the question is, what's to become of Jim Carrey's Robotnik? Although
Um,
maybe Shadow saved him. Shadow could have saved him.
well, I mean, here's the thing,
Shadow can do a
and
big
so
teleport.
I thought of a way of because your theory is that the Metal Sonics come from the
I'm pretty
future,
sure they're from the future.
um, and so and you're like, well, who ends up building him? So I don't think that's the case, but I'm gonna give my theory on how your theory could have happened. Um, Shadow, because there's one big thing that we did not see Shadow do in this movie. A thing that he is classically known for and could explain how Robotnik escaped
Oh,
the explosion that we see at the end.
a chaos
Shadow
control.
could have done chaos control, which throws Robotnik into the future, where he then creates
Metal Sonic.
Supersonic Metal Sonic and sends him back to the past to destroy Sonic.
Because I don't know. Amy's just giving me. Because Amy also shows up, by the way. She shows up, she smashes a big hammer, and she saves Sonic. And she's giving me real, like, I'm from a dystopian. Like, her outfit's giving major dystopia vibes. So my guess is she's like your Connor Reese, and they're going to do, like, a Back to the Future thing. And I think Metal. Just because there's so many of him. Because I'm like, otherwise, if he's from present day, who's making Metal Sonic? It's not Robotnik.
Well,
Robotnik's not
well,
making Metal
so
Sonic.
here's the thing
And
though is
Gerald's
that
dead.
here's the thing though about who's making the Metal Sonics. Really, you just need to have been like there only needs to be one main prime Metal Sonic, and then he makes a bunch of
Sure,
themselves.
but even then,
That's
I don't
that's
think
explainable.
Robotnik's making Metal Sonic. That's where I'm like, I could believe it's like a Robotnik computer, and then that's how you bring
Oh,
Robotnik back. He's just a computer now.
I mean, you want to know who? Okay, you want to know who? Okay, there's two possible things. One, you're right, and it's from the future, which again I don't think. Two, it's Stone, and Stone has created like an AI VR
I can
version
see
of
that.
Robotnik, and that's who made it
Cause like
essentially.
Jim Carrey is very
And then
clear, he wants to come back.
you use Stone. Basically, what I would do, or what you could do, Stone essentially creates Egg Robo,
Oh
which is
yeah,
a metal Robotnik, and then you can have it where it's voiced by Jim Carrey, but it looks like Egg Robo.
that'd be fun. I mean, the next one, I'm really hoping they like it's just like all of the different versions of Metal Sonic show up, like Mecha Sonic, the one from Sonic 3, all those ones. The one or Death Egg
Yeah,
Robo from the set from Sonic
I
2.
would
Kind of fun.
I would be content. That would be fun, but I would be content if we do Metal Overlord,
I mean, that would also be fun.
and it's like Sonic and them have to fight, because I don't I don't want Jim Carrey to come back.
I don't want him to come back either.
I I don't want, and so to have it be a thing where where there's an egg robo computer which has his voice, that's enough for me. Then you
Right?
can say you brought him back, but like it builds Metal Sonic, and then Metal Sonic takes over.
Right? That'd be
Like,
rad.
and then you can do away with Robotnik.
Right? Goodbye,
and
Robotnik.
then and then and then you can then going forward have it be where they keep trying to destroy Metal Sonic Prime, and Metal Sonic Prime keeps getting away, and he can keep coming back.
What makes me laugh about Jim Carrey in these movies is how they always write him in such a way that he can
uh
either come back or not come back depending on his commitment level. Every single one.
yeah, yeah. Word 789 says we will have a Sonic 4 now. Yeah, I believe they've
They
confirmed.
have absolutely confirmed the Sonic 4, yeah. This movie's making crazy money.
Um
That Keanu Reeves Shadow the Hedgehog be selling lots of money.
And then there's also the fact that so part of the reason, especially after seeing the post credit scene and seeing that Shadow survives, the fact that this is one reason why I think they will be doing a version of Metal Overlord is because the teleportation stuff that Metal Sonic is doing is very much what Shadow does in these movies.
Yeah.
So to have the Metal Overlord trait of being able to um he doesn't absorb their abilities, but he scans their abilities and can do like their stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so to have it be where this version of Metal Sonic is capable of that,
Yeah.
it just kind of makes sense that then, and this is where I say I don't necessarily think that Metal Sonic is from the future. I do think Amy is from the future.
I could see that.
Um, I think
I could see that.
she comes back like she comes back to make sure Metal Sonic loses because otherwise in her future Metal Sonic becomes Metal Overlord and takes over
Because
the world and defeats them
there's
all.
just so many rumors that Silver was going to be in the next one. So I think Silver will be in the next one. I think Silver is going to
Um
be in the next one.
I could see it being a thing where Silver sends Amy back.
Silver and Blaze. Blaze the cat I think will also probably show up.
I don't know about Blaze. Blaze isn't popular enough of a
Blaze is
character.
kind of a major character though in the time travel stuff. I could see them doing.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I just don't see a world where we get Blaze before we get Rouge the Bat.
I mean, I don't know. I know that we're probably going to get Silver though. That I won't be surprised.
I could see Silver and Amy because they're both
They're
hedgehogs.
both hedgehogs. And then we'll
Um,
finally reveal where the power comes from.
Fair. But yeah, so that's kind of all I have to say about Sonic.
Yeah, it's all right. People are being way
It,
too nice to it on the internet. It's kind of remarkable. Like people are like it's the most amazing. It's not. It's about a comparative quality to the last two. Did you like the last two? You'll like this one. That's what I would say.
yeah, my biggest again my biggest slam against it is it's got too much Jim
Oh, it's
Carrey.
got way too much Jim Carrey. Dial back the Jim Carrey. One Jim Carrey next time. One. Don't be like three. Don't be like three next time. I know you want to do three.
No,
Don't do three.
have him be Egg Robo, and have it be where he's like kind of under the control of Stone,
Or
and Stone
like,
is actually the bad guy.
don't bring him back at all.
Or don't bring him back at all.
He
But
got
if
he
you
got
have,
he got pretty atomized in this one, so you know.
if you have to, then do it my way.
That's it. That's Sonic. I think that's Sonic 3. Go watch Sonic 3 and like and subscribe to this video. Take it away, end card Justin. So now everyone, now it's Christmas time. It's time to talk about Christmas stuff with our Christmas special. Time,
Ho ho ho.
ho 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 everybody. Jordan, ho ho ho, you get to go first. Ho ho ho.
All right, so I'm I've got a bunch which are the same story. Like I've got sorry, words are hard. I'm gonna basically combine a couple of my rapid fires because they're both just the same story. So I'm gonna talk about both the Jim Carrey and the Cumber Grinch version of the Grinch, just kind of as one companion piece, um, just to save time.
I mean,
Because I
I
have
maintain the Jim Carrey one's a classic.
because I have 13 tabs open. Um, but so I think that the Jim Carrey one is a classic, and I very much enjoy it. He's
Absolute
kind of a
classic.
dick.
He is a total dick.
Like even when he goes nice, he's a dick. And yet he is the version that I have sympathy for both of them, and I don't think either of them is actually the bad guy. The
Nah,
Jim Carrey one, the mayor is the bad guy. Everybody starts laughing and tormenting at the Grinch because of the mayor.
it's true.
The Grinch, Cindy Lou, who convinces the Grinch to come down and join the jubilation, and he's having a good time and enjoying himself and learning to not hate Christmas, and then the mayor has to fucking antagonize him again.
I mean,
Like
I always
really,
maintain my
really,
favorite bit is where the random guy's just like, when the mayor just admits to embezzlement. Like, paid for
yeah.
by the generous taxpayers of
Of
Whoville. I'm
Whoville,
sorry,
a
what?
brand new car.
Sorry, what?
And And I would be the guy in the back going like, "Sorry, my taxes are paying for what now?"
What was that?
I mean, we have a giant pothole in the middle of the street there. Couldn't it? You should probably be paying to fix that. Not okay. Okay.
Probably should pay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Chris. Probably should pay to fix that. No.
Um,
Also, I also
and
like. I'm just saying, child the mayor, and look, I'm allowed to say this because I was a fat child. Only I'm allowed to say this, okay? Unless you were also a fat child, then only us fat children are allowed to say this. He has entirely too much self confidence and self esteem.
oh, he would not. He would not be as popular in that class as he was. He was fat.
If I were
He
the
would
Kid
have been at the
Grinch,
bottom. He would have been at the bottom of the totem pole like the Grinch. The Grinch is different. He's fat. They're on equal levels of unpopularedness.
right? That would be, if anything, they would be friends. It's something to bond
I
over.
mean, yeah, trauma builds character.
Look, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair, and I'm not saying it's okay. But if I was the Grinch, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I would just turn around and call him fat. Was that fatty?
Shut up, fatty.
Shut up, fatty. Look, it's not okay. It's not okay. But sometimes it's what has to be done.
Sometimes you have to put a fat kid in their place because otherwise they take up two spots.
Right? Sometimes you have to bring a gun to a knife fight.
Hakime got a kick out of that, said LMFAO.
It's just he does. Wait, what was that? Do I smell bacon grease? Fat. Wait, the minute he handed me that razor and said "nice hack job," I'm like, "What's that? What's that? Do I smell bacon grease, fatty?" Again, it's not right. It's not okay, and it's not fair.
Oh no,
Fair.
Justin. The Grinch had super strength. I would have just picked him up and tossed him across the room.
What's that?
No, Hakime says it's okay sometimes.
It's okay. It's okay. It's only okay when they deserve it.
Yeah, the Grinch. If I was the Grinch, I would have picked him up, tossed him across the room, and the teacher couldn't have stopped him.
Right.
He was like 3 times her strength.
Right.
But
also, I'd be
no, I love the Jim Carrey version.
I can quote it pretty much word by word.
Same. And I did so as I was watching
pretty
it.
much. Although I'd be remiss if I didn't mention something. Good friend of the show, Jake, from many a podcast, mentioned when I did Coming on Christmas Day, the Part of Your Broadway World Christmas special featuring us talking about the Grinch.
You guys, not me.
No, Jordan wasn't there. Jordan didn't get to be there.
Some of us had to work.
He has a day job. But no, he mentioned that the bit where the Grinch lands, that story is clearly a metaphor, and I never picked up on it because I'm like, it's like the Dr. Seuss world. Like, naturally, they came in on little weird umbrellas.
Oh yeah, it's their version of the stork.
Yeah, and he pointed out that the old ladies are at a key party, which is a swingers party. So the Grinch was conceived during a swingers party, Jordan.
As an adult, the thing that made me go like, oh yeah, the is definitely a version of the stork is the part when the one guy's like, oh, baby's here.
Yeah,
it looks like your boss.
Why does it look like your boss?
Yeah.
Every time.
Why indeed?
I don't like.
See, the only thing that would have made that funnier is if you found out she worked for the mayor.
Right? She works for the mayor. Your boss, the mayor.
Why does it look like the mayor?
Why does it look like the mayor? Yeah, that movie's really fun. Benedict Cumberbatch version.
Benedict, the Cumber Grinch version, I enjoy, but not as much as the Jim Carrey version.
It's really funny because on Threads, people hate the Jim Carrey version and they love the Benedict Cumberbatch version, like modern day people. Like I saw one thread which called the Jim Carrey version the Scary Grinch, the animated Boris Karloff one the Actual Grinch, and the Benedict Cumberbatch one the Good Grinch. And I thought that was really interesting.
I could see, yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense to me. Because, yeah, he's not really, he's just a guy who doesn't like Christmas. Like, he just wants to be left alone.
Right.
Which, like, as a person who doesn't really much, I know I'm wearing the Santa hat, doesn't really much care for Christmas, I get that. Also, he has terrible social anxiety, which I also understand.
My thing with that one is, yeah, it's a lot of, like, his neighbors are just kind of all right, If you just had a conversation with them, it probably would resolve most of their issues,
It did once he had a conversation with them,
right?
resolve most of their
There's
issues.
there's certain things
But he couldn't because he has terrible social
right.
anxiety.
One of the things that I liked about the Benedict Cumberbatch one that drove me crazy about the Jim Carrey one is just Cindy Lou Who should know that that's the Grinch. She's too old to not know that that's the Grinch. She's had extended conversations with the Grinch. She should instantaneously recognize that's the Grinch. Whereas in the Benedict
Yeah,
Cumberbatch one, is they met like one time and he's wearing a reasonably okay disguise.
yeah, yeah, I get
I
that.
dislike
Plus,
how
plus, plus, in the Benedict Cumberbatch version, um, because of the way that they animate it, Cindy Lou Who comes across as being much younger.
yeah.
So her
I
not realizing that it's him is also just more believable because she's just younger.
I generally don't love how they've contrived a reason for her to have that scene with him though. I do think that's kind of dumb. Also
Yeah, I mean,
the
what was wrong? What was wrong with her just waking up and needing a glass of water?
right and like I will say that I think the in the Jim Carrey version the Santa very much exists. He's real. We know he's real. Whereas in the
Yeah, we
Benedict
see
Cumberbatch
him.
version, there's the idea that he's probably kids earmuffs. Not real. Okay, kids, you can take your earmuffs off now. It's safe.
Did you say something?
That it's not important. It's not important.
Did you? I don't. I must not have heard how you said that Santa's not
You can't do it. You can't do it.
Santa. He's not.
You can't do it.
He's not going to forget your hopes and dreams, and he's going to make sure that you have a happy Christmas.
No
There,
monster would ever say opposite.
there. I said it. I
Right?
said the truth. I
You're,
said what is as far as anyone knows is the
do you
truth.
have anything else you'd like to say about?
I like the Jim Carrey version more, but that's because I'm an adult.
I'm gonna. Yeah, that's my thing. Is I have more of a nostalgia for that one. I just the surrounding marketing. It's always gonna be the Jim Carrey one. Jordan, my first one. Now let's get this out of the way. Let's do the one that we did together first, which is
Dear Santa,
Dear Santa.
that was my next thing I was going to bring up anyway, so that
Beautiful
works out.
synergy.
Synergy.
On Amazon Prime, it is if you have Amazon Prime, it is Jack Black, and it is a young boy, and the young boy is dyslexic, and instead of writing a letter to Santa Claus, he accidentally writes a letter to Satan, who appears and offers him 3 wishes, and it then at that point becomes Christmas Aladdin.
Party, yeah, it does become Aladdin. Party Broadway World Podcast says it's for the storyline though, Justin, as to why she doesn't say she knows that he's the Grinch.
Obviously, yes. So the story can happen. Yes, I'm aware, but still, it's dumb.
Um, Dear Santa though is fun. It's cute.
It's cute. I really like the
and
kid. The kid is really cute. I just love how he's just genuinely a nice kid. Like he's just
right?
genuinely just a nice kid.
And his friend is just genuinely a good friend.
That was my favorite bit. One of my favorite bits is at the beginning where he's like, "Why did you lie about me? I really am your friend. Like it wasn't necessary."
I'm your friend. Why did you tell them I have cancer?
Right?
And so then every time they see him, he's like, "Oh yeah, the cancer's okay. Thanks though."
Yeah, you look real healthy. And yeah, I love how he uses his second wish for him
To fix his teeth.
There's a really funny bit early on where he's talking about going to a Post Malone concert, which instantly makes you go like, "Oh well, Post Malone's gonna show up," and then Post Malone does show up in like the weirdest cameo where he just turns into a Post Malone concert, which is really really funny. It gets really dark in the middle when spoiler alert, big old spoiler alert. Go watch this movie, come back, and finish this episode. But you find out that his little brother died in a tragic accident. And it was like, whoa, this got dark.
Yeah, that took a turn.
That took a turn.
Also, Party Broadway World Podcast says we've talked about this on my in my Christmas episode. I'll die on that hill.
We will check out that episode coming on Christmas. Wednesday.
Yeah, no, the kid died, and the kid brother. Yeah, was like, whoa. And then like that parents have been fighting as a result of that, and you're like, man, that's
This is really dark.
which I mean it is described on Wikipedia as a Christmas dark fantasy comedy
I
film.
mean, that is. And then it also turns out, spoiler alert, that Jack Black is in fact not Satan. He is one of Satan's minions, and Satan is in fact Ben Stiller.
Was that Ben Stiller?
That was absolutely Ben Stiller.
I didn't even realize that. That's
And
funny.
yeah, you find out that he can't
Oh,
take.
he's uncredited.
That's funny. He can't take the kid's soul because all the kid's wishes are for like the good natured, because he's a good kid, and so he gets his soul back, and the parents get together back because his third wish is that his parents don't break up. The parents get back together, and he gets one more
Oh,
wish, and so he brings the brother back, and it honestly kind of got me a little bit. I was like, ooh, that got me. They got me right
so
in my feels.
so a thing that I didn't realize, maybe I must have missed this. Kyle Gass is Liam's science
Yes,
teacher.
yes, he is. Yep,
I must have missed that.
yep, definitely Kyle Gas. Yep. But yeah, it's
Um,
otherwise a cute movie.
it's cute, it's fun, and it's definitely a different kind of Christmas movie.
Right? It's for sure a different kind of Christmas movie. Um, yeah, I
And
enjoy
it's and it's a part of your Broadway world says the audio cut out.
the audio cut out. Audio cut out.
Definitely a different kind of Christmas movie. When I turn my sound up.
Let's try mine. It says my audio's working. In my settings, it's working. Hold on.
Maybe she means we peaked the mic.
It's possible that we peaked the mic.
When I turn my sound up.
Let's try mine. Yeah, we're good. It says my audio's working. In my settings, it's working. Yep, no. According to my YouTube, it's working.
Okay, well we're gonna go ahead.
We're gonna press
So yeah,
on.
it's not to be confused with Dear Satan, a 2024 Filipino comedy film with the same premise.
I don't know how you could confuse the two, but
Well, I mean, they have the same premise and a very similar name. I could absolutely see how you could confuse the
wait,
two.
is it the same? Is it actually the same premise?
Well, it says on the Dear Santa Wikipedia, at the very top, it says not to be confused with Dear Satan, 2024 Filipino comedy film with the same premise.
That's pretty funny. That's funny. George, do you have anything else to say about Dear Satan? It's totally worth checking out if you have Amazon Prime.
Apparently, the Filipino version, I've clicked on it now. It was later renamed Dear Santa.
That's funny.
It's an unreleased Philippine Christmas horror film.
That's funny. That is funny.
No, I don't have anything else to say. It's fun, and those who like these kind of movies should go check them out.
It's totally worth checking out. Jordan, what's your next one?
Oh, we're counting that as one of yours?
Yeah, why not? Unless you want me to do
All
another
right.
one of mine.
No, that's okay. Um, get away from that cookie. I did Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way.
And
It's
that was,
another one that, like, there's no reason why people should like that. I think that's a Christmas classic. I guess that's how I would start this. Does the audience consider Jingle All the Way to be an iconic Christmas classic? Is it a Christmas classic?
I mean, I consider it a Christmas classic from my childhood because it came out in 1996, like kind of during the peak days of when I actually remember things.
Right?
And this was one that I definitely remember watching this with my cousins.
Right? I remember watching it.
Um,
I remember watching it year after. I can still quote, so I can quote it. Shut up, Booster. The Dash and Dance of Prancer Vixen comic. It's half the reason why I know all the stupid reindeer.
Part of your Broadway world says, "I'm glad that I caught that the audio cut and was able to tell you, unlike when I didn't know because I was in the live stream."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Jingle All the Way is not good in my opinion.
I mean, it's not good, but it's
It's not. That's the thing. We're not saying it's good. We're saying it's a classic. You can
right.
have a classically bad movie.
Right? I love that movie because it's bad. Arnold is
It's
phenomenal in it. He's terrible in a way that's amazing.
It has charm,
It has
is what I'll
charm.
say.
His facial expressions are delightful. Like in the beginning when she tells him to get the doll and his eyes just go, he does that extreme close up as his eyes go wide. It gets me every time. It's so. And Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman's an absolute delight.
Oh, he's fantastic. Also, fun fact: it had a budget of 600 to 75 million, and the box office was 129.8 million.
Yeah, I mean that makes
So
sense.
it did fairly well.
It did good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a very popular movie. Nobody likes you, Booster.
Nobody likes you, Booster. Yeah, it also had Sinbad.
Sinbad. Does anyone remember Sin? Do the kids remember Sinbad?
Part of your Broadway world can't even finish that movie whenever she watches it.
Oh, you're missing out. The best part of that movie is the ending when he finally puts on the costume. He becomes Turbo Man.
Turbo Man.
And it's got Jake Lloyd of Star Wars fame before he went on to do Star
Yeah,
Wars.
before he killed his career for like 20, 30 years.
Hey man, that kid had a bad time in high school.
And now he's living it up, I assume.
Yeah, there's a reindeer. He's finding a reindeer. Jordan, is there anything else you have to say about?
Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Prancer, Ratata, Vixen.
I mean, Jordan, you know it's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen.
Yeah, shit, definitely.
You know that.
Hakime says, compared to movies out now, I would consider this a masterpiece. Lol.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Masterpiece feels like a strong word. Classic. I would use the word
It is an
classic.
absolute classic. Jordan, any closing thoughts on Jingle All the Way?
It's fun.
Will you watch Jingle All the Way 2 for next year?
Absolutely not.
Will you commit to that
No.
on stream right now?
I will commit to not doing that on stream right now.
Flash forward to a year from now, he's doing it.
No. You're doing
with
it.
Larry the Cable Guy.
You're doing it because I've somehow conned you into it.
I tell you what, that's his classic iconic catchphrase. I'm Larry the Cable Guy. I tell you what, I'm in Jingle All the Way too.
Haley says I'm assuming response to Hakime, that seems like a strong word. Jingle All the Way 2 seemed unnecessary.
I mean, yes, it is.
It was unnecessary.
It's very unnecessary. Jordan, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So when I set out this week, I was gonna do I'm gonna do weird Christmas movies, right? So I have two here that are just weird. The first one is a movie called Black Christmas. And I went into that one being like, there's no way. To my knowledge of that one's a slasher flick. There's no way it's a Christmas movie. So I put on the remake. And it's basically a version of, you know, the old urban legend where it's the babysitter and the person phones and keeps phoning them and hanging up, phoning them and hanging up, and then they phone the police, and then the police
Scream?
are like, the killer's in the house.
Yeah, isn't that Scream?
Scream is a variation of it as well, but this movie's based on that. So it's a sorority house. They're being like harassed all night by this guy on the phone who eventually shows up and murders them all. And it all happens on Christmas. And there's 3 versions of this movie, and they're all completely different from each other. But in the original, it's kind of the one I watched was the remake. In the original, you never find out like anything about the killer. You don't find his backstory, who he is, where he came from, anything. And the remake,
part of your Broadway World podcast says, now that is a classic. Carrie I'm assuming that says Elways, amazing in that movie. Lol.
Which one's that? Black Christmas?
I'm assuming so.
I watched the remake. I didn't watch the original, so I honestly don't know. But
Careylwes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Carrie Elways. Is he in Black Christmas? Are you talking the original Black Christmas? Because if he's in the remake, or unless you're talking the newest one, which I didn't watch. I watched the second one.
She says Black Christmas.
Yeah, maybe she's talking about the remake, because I don't recall him being in. He's not in the one I watched. Not that I can
The
recall.
remake. The remake.
The 2019 remake.
uh, uh, Hakime says, "Do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie?" I'm in the no camp. No,
No, not
I, I, do-
really.
I don't.
Um, anyway, the second remake, the first
She,
remake.
she, she says, "Yeah."
Oh, okay. I know. I watched the second remake, the one that came out in like 2004, and that's the one where it's very similar to. And it's funny because when I was reading about it, it was the Halloween movies took a lot of inspiration from this, but this remake reminded me a lot of the Halloween remake in the sense that it was very much like a movie of, oh, we need to explain the backstory of this character, which is that in this movie is that okay, um, he is the sexually abused victim of a woman who gets herself impregnated by him. So he has a sister daughter, and he escapes from the mental asylum, and he comes back, and he murders all these sorority girls, and he has jaundice, so he's like yellow.
Justin, this is Christmas time. What are you doing here? This is not. Come on, man. We don't do this kind of thing when it's Christmas.
and,
We're wearing the hats, man.
and
Synergy.
and it is a deeply unpleasant movie. None of the kills are very interesting, and one of the things that I took away from it was, oh, there's a reason why like, characters like Ghostface and like Jason Voorhees, why like we gave them an iconic mask, and that's because when it's just a guy, it's weird for some reason. I don't know, but it is a very unpleasant movie. The remake wasn't very good, and like the Google described as being one of the most iconic, the original as being one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. And the only thing notable about the three is how they have nothing to do with each other than they are all called Black Christmas. That's it. That's all I have to say about Black Christmas.
I'm judging you.
Jordan, what's your next one?
No, no. You got to give me at least another 10 seconds to judge you.
Jordan, what's your...
Okay. So, uh, Christmas spirit. What's that? Part of your Broadway World podcast says, "Where's your Christmas spirit? This isn't Christmas spirit." She's calling us out, and she's not inaccurate. But the next one that I watched is a Bad Mom's Christmas.
A
It
Wine
is
Mom's Christmas?
it is the sequel to Bad Moms. And it kind of is just more of the same. The Bad Moms, Krampus is apparently going to get us for that. Um,
Krampus?
in this one, the bad moms come to visit. So you've got
So
Christine
it's bad
Bar-
grandmoms?
yeah, basically.
Alright.
You've got Christine Baranski as I believe she was I don't know, she's one of the moms. Cheryl Hines is the other mom, and Susan Sarandon is the third mom.
Who is Mila
Um,
Kunis' mom?
I'm pretty sure that's Christine Baranski.
I don't know who that is.
Um, you do, because she's fairly. She was in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Funny enough.
Oh, who was she in
She was
that?
she was in Into the Woods.
Yeah.
She's Dr. Beverly Hofstadter in Big Bang Theory.
Oh, her. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, you know her.
Gotcha.
That's Mila Kunis's mom. What's her name? Anna from Frozen's mom is Cheryl Hines. She was in what might you know? Yeah, the first mom is from Big Bang Theory. Um, I'm gonna have to go to her. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Moving
Oh,
on.
she's that's one that you'll know. She's the mom from RV.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
The Robin Williams wife
Yes.
in that movie.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yes, thank you, Kristen Bell. That's Kristen Bell's mom is the one
Gotcha.
from RV. And then there's Susan Sarandon, who you probably know by
I
name.
am familiar with Susan Sarandon, yes. Yes. I have not actually seen this movie.
She's Agatha all along's mother.
Alright.
Um And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of them dealing with their moms, and it's Christmas, and it's fine. I don't really. It's okay.
That's all right. Is
I
that
think I
it?
like I think I like the first one more.
All right. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. All right. My next one, Jordan. See, now mine are going to start to get fun. They're not all going to be about murder.
good, because Justin, we have a theme going on here, and it
Santa
doesn't involve
Claus.
murder on Christmas.
Santa Claus. Santa Claus. It's Santa Claus versus the Martians, Jordan. It's a movie from. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to stall. I'm going to stall while I
Dingly
Google.
ding ding dingling dingling ding 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 ding
I'm
ding.
going to Google.
Cat Catherine Hahn, is that the name of the Agatha all along? I'm too lazy to
Yes.
open up
Yes,
that
it
page
is.
again.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. What year
Yeah.
did Santa Claus versus the Martians come out?
She was Agatha all along.
1964. Sorry, the name is The Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Not takes it. And comes out in 1964. And it's a movie in which what am I doing here?
I don't know. What are
Uh,
you doing
it's a
here?
movie
Other than this amazing podcast with
where
stupid Santa hats.
where the Martians, Jordan. Well, first of all, the movie opens. They're interviewing. They're touring the North Pole. They're interviewing Santa Claus, and it turns out, Jordan, that there's Martians. One of the elves, he has created a Martian. He's like, this is what Martians look like, and they go to Mars, and it turns out that the Martian kids are addicted to the Earth programs, and the
Uh, well, well, in their defense, so are the Earth children.
and the Martian prophet determines that in order for the Martians to be successful, the Martian children have to be happy. And so, in order to for the Martian children to be happy, they need a Santa Claus. So they go to Earth, and
And take theirs.
and then they convince. Well, first they kidnap a couple kids, and then they use the kids that they kidnapped to convince Santa Claus to come with them back to Mars. And then the movie just pretty much is really, it's not really Santa Claus conquers the Martians so much as it's just like Santa Claus kind of hangs out with the Martians for about an hour and a half. And
Santa
then
rehabilitates the
and there's
Martians.
like one bad Martian who kind of is bad, but the rest of the Martians are kind of okay.
Whoa, whoa, Justin, it's Christmas. He's not bad. He's naughty.
No, he tries to
No,
he
he's very
he
naughty.
tries to kill Santa Claus, Jordan. He's not a very
Yeah,
good guy.
he's super
It
naughty.
is a very silly movie. Um, they do eventually defeat
Naughty.
the Martians. I don't remember how it ends. I watched so many movies this week. That's it. Jordan, do you have anything you want to know about Santa Claus versus the Martians? I watched it really early in the week, so I don't remember much of it.
No, not really.
Okay, what's your next one?
I did. I don't have a lot to say about this one, so this one's going to go very fast. Journey to Bethlehem.
That movie.
It's it's a movie where,
The music is
you
better
know,
than it has any right to be.
some of it is, most of it's just okay.
I know.
Um,
It's funny how that happened twice.
um, yeah, the story,
And
you know,
Antonio Banderas is having a
Virgin Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary.
Uh,
Antonio Banderas is having way too much fun.
Hakime says, "I thought this was going to be wholesome movies. I was wrong.
There's
But
some that are wholesome.
never seen it. I assume you mean Journey to Bethlehem. No, I don't blame you. I have only seen it because Justin demanded it.
You really just you look up "It's Good to Be King," and I think it's "In Your Blood." Those are the only two. Oh, and their version of "Oh Holy Night" I think is objectively funny because of how good it is. This is that moment where the music just kicks in. And it's all the light shines on like the donkey, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is better than it has any right to be for some reason.
Yeah, but as a story, it's kind of boring.
I mean, it's all right. It's trying to like mainstreamify that story and make it turn into just like a. I would maybe say it's akin to like a Greatest Showman like level of
Mhm.
like pop
Yeah,
musicifying the story of the birth of Jesus.
yeah. I don't know. It's fine, I guess.
I genuinely think the two songs, the
Apparently,
ones.
apparently it was the director Adam Anders' feature-length directorial debut.
Oh
It
yeah.
was all. It was written by Anders and Peter Barshoki. Well,
Uh,
yeah, I'm gonna butcher his name.
yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching the whole movie, but those two songs are honestly kind of good. They're kind of good.
Yeah, they're fine. It's fine. I don't know. It's something to put on in the background while you're making Christmas cookies.
I'd be like, wow, why Antonio Banderas? You're having too much fun. You need to go do a movie that's not quite so much fun for you for some reason.
But that is the journey
Also, they
to
made
Bethlehem.
they made Mary sassy. She's very sassy in that movie.
I mean, I would describe her as Jasmine. She's
She's
Jasmine from
pretty much
Aladdin.
Jasmine from Aladdin. You're not wrong. Um,
Um, but it's fine.
it's fine. My next one is a movie called A Christmas Story. A real classic. I never cared for this movie because it's the one that preempts the shows I like. The thing about A Christmas Story and It's a Wonderful Life is they were incredibly cheap movies to license. So there was television stations that would just play it all day. And so there was one channel that they would play the entirety of A Christmas Carol for 24 hours. And I think it works out to be like 12 times. So I used to hate this movie because it would be on all day and it would interrupt shows I like watching.
A Christmas Carol? You're doing a Christmas Carol?
A Christmas
Oh,
Story.
you want to talk about Christmas Carol? We got lots to talk about.
It's A Christmas Story is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really have much of a plot. The very loose story is it's a bunch of sort of vignettes about a little boy named Georgie. And he wants a gun. He wants a red rocket, whatever gun. And there's
Hello,
like
Georgie.
there's a
Come
bunch
down
of
to the sewer, Georgie.
there's a bunch of different there's one little vignette where it's funny because it's all stuff that I've been through as a child. But like one of the vignettes is that the little bully gets his tongue stuck to a frozen pole, and they abandon him. And fuck, I've done that. I've got my tongue stuck to a pole. It hurts. It hurts a great deal.
Yeah, I seem to remember you doing that.
I've
Yeah.
done that. It hurts. And they all abandon him to get there. The fire department has to come and help him. And they rip his tongue off the thing, and his tongue is all bloody.
Ugh. See, the trick is you get some lukewarm water and you
That's
warm
it. Yeah,
the
you just get
metal
some
up.
lukewarm water and you warm the metal up. It's really that easy. You don't tear it off. But the
No.
movie takes place in it came out in the 1980s, but it takes place in the 1940s. So it's just of a particular era of time. There's another part where the kid, I can't remember exactly what the reason is, but the kid gets into a big fight and he just like is on top of this kid just like wailing on him. And the dad he gets scared because he's the brother, his little brother's like, when dad gets home, he's gonna he's gonna kill you basically. And so he's like freaked out the whole time just waiting for dad to get home. And I'm like, man, we've all been there. We've all been there.
I mean, no comment.
We've all been there. Highly relatable. I thought it was all right. It didn't really do anything for me. I don't know. It's one of those movies where I was like, I can tell why this is a classic, and I'm sure there's gonna be people who are listening to this or watching this who are gonna go, "A Christmas Story, one of the most iconic Christmas movies of all time." But man, I still don't. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have another one of those later on. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like this is all right. This is all right. It's not doing anything for me. I don't get it. I don't get it. But that's it. That's A Christmas Story.
So I have two more, but I'm doing much like I did with the Grinch. I'm doing them as one. I watched. Okay, this week I watched 4 different versions of A Christmas Carol. We're gonna do 2 of them right now, and then 2 of them are have not scenes. But these ones are Muppets Christmas or The Muppets Christmas Carol, and Jim Carrey's version of. Hakime says, "Yeah, it's a classic, but I've seen it way too many times."
I've seen it once.
It
was all right.
Yeah. There's I did The Muppets Christmas Carol and Jim Carrey's version of A Christmas Carol.
The Muppets version is objectively the best one. I'm saying it. I'm staking my claim.
It's definitely one of my
Right
favorites. I also like the Mickey Mouse one, but the Muppet one is it has a charm to it.
Michael Caine taking
It's
it
it.
100% seriously,
Oh yeah, the fact that he treats the Muppets 100% seriously is what makes it as good as it is.
right?
Um, I love the fact that the Muppets aren't like it's not like it's Kermit. It's Kermit playing Bob Cratchit.
Right? Right?
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's all of the Part of Your Broadway World podcast says I did the versions of A Christmas Carol for a episode last year.
Yes, yes, you did. With Jake.
Kime says I love the Muppet version, even have it on VHS.
It's good. It's a
Uh,
good version.
it's a classic. I
It's the
watched the
best version.
so fun fact on Disney Plus, if you go into the extras menu, it has what it calls the full version, like the uncut version, because I guess in the version that they have, they cut out the song where Michael Caine and what's her name, the girl that Ebenezer Scrooge is in love with, they sing a song together, which it seems to be the one that's cut out of their main version on Disney Plus. But if you go under the extra section, they have it added back in. That's the version that I watched, and it's a delight.
It is. It
Um,
is a delight.
I love the fact that they have Waldorf and Statler. They've created Marley and
It's
Marley. Like they've got
Marley and Marley.
oh, um,
And then the Jim
yeah,
Carrey version.
I love that. I love that version of it. And then there's the Jim Carrey version, which is kind of the more accurate version of the story,
Yeah,
real
one of
version.
the there's a line I can never remember what the exact line is on the up on the spot, but there's a line that's always interested me that oh what about something that he says to the ghost of Christmas present about something about church on Sundays or like I can't remember what it is, but it's a line that most people that gets cut out of most versions of that story. That's from the
Yeah,
book.
I think it's something to the effect of you demand a day, like a day from us hardworking people to go spend in your house, something to that
Oh
effect.
yeah,
And
yeah, that's what it was. That implies that the ghost of Christmas present is God.
the ghost of Christmas present is like it's not my house. Like what man does on earth is not what me and my brethren,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like he has like 1,036 brothers or something like that, which I think are all different angels. It's implied not that he's God, but that he's an angel.
And then I also yeah, it also keeps the detail, which I believe is in the original book, which is that yeah, the ghost of Christmas present, he's slowly dying, and he becomes the ghost of Christmas future.
Yeah,
Like in a scene that's kind
Ebenezer
of scary.
or Scrooge also Ebenezer, whatever the other one is, also does that. Um, but yeah, in this version, yeah, Part of Your Broadway World says it best. It's the more gruesome version. Yeah, the
Yeah,
part where
yeah,
Christmas present leaves and like he turns gray and then he fades to dust and then he's just a skeleton and he turns into death.
yeah. Like, yeah, that's pretty harrowing.
Um, I mean, there's a lot in the movie which, considering it's supposed to be a children's movie, is definitely a little darker than all of the other versions.
Right?
But I like. There's also just the fact that it's weird. That Jim Carrey is like the different versions,
Oh
and they
yeah, it's
all look like him.
Bob Zemeckis, weird, uncanny valley. They all look like him.
Yeah, it's a little different.
They also yeah, I
But
think it's one of those ones that kind of implies that it's in his head, like it doesn't actually happen.
it's a dream, is what they imply, because at the end of death, he's in the grave and he's hanging on, and then he falls. He hits the ground, and it's like he was tangled up in his bed curtains. So it
Because
kind of implies that it was a
some
dream.
somebody years later wrote
Ah,
a
yeah,
quote unquote.
that's another example of the more gruesome part. Is Part of Your Broadway World says is when Marley's jaw unhinges, and it's like no welfare in my jaw.
Yeah, it's also just a weird choice to have the dialogue be closer to the original book. Like again, you're right. This is supposed to be for children theoretically. Like yeah, that was a very. It's all I remember about that movie. It's just been, this is a weird adaptation. I don't understand why
It's
Jim Carrey is in this. Like
yeah, it's definitely different, but
yeah,
I like it.
yeah. that
That's
it,
all I
Jordan?
really have to
That's
say
it.
about those two
My
different versions of A Christmas Carol.
my final rapid fire of the Christmas special is movie on Amazon Prime called Candy Cane Lane. I was gonna watch Miracle on 34th Street, and then I fell asleep before I could, and then I remembered that's a Candy Cane Lane I wanted to watch. Now this movie that's kind of interesting. So it's on Amazon Prime. It's Eddie Murphy, and he's a family man who he's another Eddie Murphy dad character. He thinks he knows best, and he gets laid off from his job, and his normal what is basically a block party celebration where each of the neighbor houses like they all do their like Christmas light setup whatever, and whoever has the best will get nominated for or for will win $100,000. Sorry. And so Eddie Murphy and his daughter, um, they go and
I could use $100,000.
they run into this elf who tricks them into making a deal where um, he he buys this 12 days of Christmas tree, and all of the different 12 days of Christmas show up, and he has to retrieve the 5 golden rings from the 12 days of Christmas before the 8 o'clock on Christmas Eve, or he will be turned into like a little Christmas village figurine.
Okay,
And so
that sounds like a terrible fate.
and so all the different 12 songs whatever. The funniest part is at the end where she's like hyping up the Lords of Leaping, who just show up and start leaping across because the one girl's a track and field racer. um and then the big twist at the end, it turns out that she actually tricked them, and instead of just getting 5 golden rings, they have to get, because every time the song goes, it repeats itself. So it turns out that they actually need 40 golden rings.
That's
And
ridiculous.
Nick Offerman's in it as a weird British guy. Santa Claus, you find out at the end, Santa Claus is black, and he shows up and he's wearing what is essentially a pimp outfit. And he's
that just feels offensive.
and yeah, it's all right. It's very I will say the use of the inclusion of the 12 days of Christmas was kind of clever. Like you don't get to see the 12 days of Christmas represented so much because Jordan, it is objectively the worst Christmas song. It's just a list.
It's just a list of birds.
I see. The movie chooses to do the literal interpretation, where it's actually 12 lords leaping. The only birds that it come into play are the ones that are specific. So there's the French hens. So it's just a bunch of hens dressed in a French maid outfit.
That's ridiculous.
It's representative of the partridges in them. Yeah, it's very funny. It's a really silly movie. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's on Amazon Prime. It's all right. It's all right. That's it. That's my final rapid fire.
Okay, so I guess it's time for us to move on to the have seen.
Oh, I thought you had one more rapid fire.
No, I said that was my last one. I combined two into one.
Right. Yes, have scenes it is then.
Um,
Have scenes. It's a wonderful Christmas. Have scenes.
Unless you have another rapid fire.
No.
All right, have scenes it is. Yeah, I combined certain things just for expediency's sake.
Good instincts. Good instincts.
So I chose Rise of the Guardians,
That's
which,
a fun movie as well.
I mean, it's not technically a Christmas movie, but it has Santa. It takes place in the winter. I'm counting it.
If anything, it's more of an Eastern movie because a big part of the movie takes place.
You people can all get all the way off my back.
I mean, if anything, yeah. I mean, I would say that it's probably more
you know what?
Easter movie.
You know what? You know what? Shut up.
I do enjoy Santa in that movie though. Santa is a weird Russian. He's got tattoos, and Alec Baldwin is super fun.
I like all the portrayals in it. It's a DreamWorks animation and was distributed by Paramount Pictures. And And yeah, it's based off of the Guardians of Childhood book series, which in the book series, each of the so Santa, Easter Bunny, Sandman, Man in the Moon, Pitch Dark, they all have a book which kind of gives their background and how they came to be the leaders of their holidays and stuff. And from what I could tell, the Jack Frost one is actually like the fourth book,
Huh.
fourth or fifth book or something like that. Um, which makes sense because we're coming into it and they're all already established in their
It's true.
holidays.
They've already formed the Holiday Avengers,
The Holiday
or
Avengers.
the
Um,
Holiday Justice League.
no, I like the Holiday Avengers better.
The Holiday Avengers.
Um, but I really like this movie, and I'm still to this day disappointed that we never got more of them.
I mean, yes, because it
Um,
did poorly.
yeah, it did. It had a budget of, well, not as bad as I would have thought. It had a budget of 145 million, and the box office was 306.9 million.
Hmm. All
So
right.
it didn't do as badly as I would have thought, but
No, it didn't do great
I
though.
guess, but it was, I mean, Wikipedia says it was a disappointment at the box office. Apparently, it lost the studio an estimated 87 million due to marketing and distribution costs.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a big hit, and it was not.
Um,
It
you got
was.
Chris Pine as Jack Frost, Alec Baldwin as Santa Claus, Jude Law
Was.
as Pitch Black, which he is doing a phenomenal job in this movie. Isla Fisher as the Tooth Fairy, Hugh Jackman as the Easter Bunny. Actually, his name is actually E. Aster Bunnymund.
Yes,
Um,
Bunny That's
you got the
funny.
Sandman, and it's just a really good movie.
It's a
It's
really good
cute.
movie.
It's cute and it's fun when it needs to be. But Pitch Black or Pitch Dark, the Boogeyman as a villain, like that the scene where they're like where all is lost moment and he's got all the nightmares like
Yeah, it's
surrounding them and
kind of frightening,
it's like for a child that would have been intense.
right?
Which like you just don't movies nowadays just don't do things like that anymore.
Right?
Um and it just I remember watching it in 2012 and immediately hoping that there would be a sequel.
And then they didn't, and it was
And they did.
disappointing.
It was disappointing. Apparently there was a video game based on it though,
All right,
which I didn't know.
all right.
It was an action adventure game. It was on the PlayStation 3,
Really?
Xbox 360, Wii, Nintendo DS, and 3DS.
Huh.
Gameplay. Players able to play as Jack Frost with the help of Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, and Easter Bunny, and the Sandman as they battle the evil Pitch Black
All right
and his
then.
nightmare minions. The game features drop in, drop out cooperative play for up to 4 players. So it sounds like it was like a beat 'em up game.
All right then.
That's I literally never heard of that game. Didn't know that was a thing. Anyway, that's Rise of the Guardians. It was a good
So,
movie. I enjoy it.
all right, all right. I did enjoy that as well. So, Jordan, my big thing is I did the. I don't know how to. Do we have Jingle Bells? Do we have Jingle Bells? We don't. Wait,
Jingle
wait,
bells,
wait,
jingle
wait.
bells,
Oh, I'd have to. I can't. Never mind. Never mind.
jingle all the
George, it's time for the. It's
way.
time for the. Oh my gosh! I've gone to the wrong screen.
Oh,
It's time
what
for the. It's time
fun
for
it
the. No, it's the
is
wrong screen
to
again.
ride
Let's go. Okay, here we go. How do I get out of here?
on
Here
a
we go.
one-horse open sleigh.
Sorry, I messed up the intro. Let's try it again. Jordan, it's time for the Rankin Bass Christmas specials, everybody.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
Now, for those of you, you know the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. Even if you don't know them by name, you know them. They are the, and we are going to be covering today.
Frosty the
And
Snowman
Rudolph the
was as
Red-Nosed
good.
Reindeer. And Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And The Year Without Santa Claus. Those are the ones we will be covering today. Beginning with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Which, like, it's fun. I mean, they're really just, like, They're not long enough for anything interesting to happen. They're way more boring than I remember. Is my number one thing.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Jordan, what do you remember of the
Reindeer.
Rankin Bass Christmas specials?
I remember Frosty. It happened.
Jordan, do you remember Rudolph?
I could picture it. I don't really remember enough about what.
You
Like I just,
remember the dentist?
I,
The
I do remember the dentist. I also remember the Island of Misfit Toys. Heat, Heat Miser.
No, that's another one.
The ice one.
That's
Oh, you
a,
didn't ask about you. I'm just saying Rankin Bass things that I remember.
Oh yeah, those are from
I
the year
I
without
remember
Santa.
one. I remember one where there's a postman, and I think he rides around on a train.
That Santa Claus is coming to town.
Um, well, I think the postman guy shows up in all of them.
No, he doesn't. You would think he does. I always remember the postman showing up in Rudolph. It's not. It's a snowman. It's a random snowman. He shows up and he does the song. And it's funny because it's just them doing the song. But there's a really funny moment though in Rudolph where he's like, they got one elf is like, I'll accept you for the nose on your face if you accept me for me wanting to be a dentist. And it's like, well, one is as far as he's concerned a physical deformity, and you could choose not to be a dentist. I'm just saying he can't change the nose on its face, but you could choose to not be a dentist. I'm just
I mean,
I'm just putting that
you're
out there.
not you're not wrong.
Also, like Santa Claus is just shallow because he's like he sees Rudolph with his red nose. He's like, well, it's a shame for that physical deformity. If not for that physical deformity, I mean, he's a pretty good flyer. And then one of the characters, the Isle of Misfit Toy characters, is like a Jack in the I can't remember what his name is. He's like, I'm Charles in the box, but he's otherwise a perfectly functional Jack in the box. It's like, why did he get thrown away? He's perfectly functional. His name is it's really superficial. It's just very superficial. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you could have just called him Jack.
You could have just called him Jack. That's all I'm saying. The puppets honestly look great, especially in the Rudolph one. Like the reindeer look like fuzzy. Like it's honestly pretty great. The puppetry is also decent in Rudolph. Like it doesn't the puppetry in these get worse as they go along. But in Rudolph it still looks good. Um, what else about Rudolph? That's it. That's all I got for Rudolph. Santa Claus is coming to town is one of what is going to be many stories of Santa Claus's origin, which is all different. This one being that he is from a German town where he is adopted by a family called the Clauses, whose whole deal is that they all dress like Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Which is basically to explain why he's called Santa Claus and has the name Chris. And it explains why he dresses the way he does. Because they all dress like Santa Claus, basically. They all have the red shirt, the red hat. And that's the one where he starts off with he's got red hair. And he eventually gets a beard and he's got a red beard. And the bad guy in it is Burgermeister. And these are all like an hour long. So they don't have much time to get into a story. So that one just kind of ends with them being like, and eventually all the Burgermeisters died off and the people realized that their rules were stupid and they shouldn't do them anymore. And then that's
They
just kind
should
of
feel bad about
and
themselves.
that's just kind of how it ends. And yeah, it's all right. It's okay. It's again, all of these are just kind of boring more than they are anything. That's the one with the postman. They all have it. They all kind of are exact. They all start with like real life footage of like real life people, and then they have a narrator who tells the story. So that's the one that has the postman.
Postman Jack.
And then
Postman
the
Jack.
next one I watched was the Frosty the Snowman, and this one was interesting because it turns out this was the point where I was like, how many specials have the Rankin Bass do? And they did at least like almost 10. And I've seen like not even half of them. It's kind of wild. But this one was 2D animated. And yeah, this is the one Jordan brought up earlier with Frosty. First shows up. He's like, Happy birthday.
Which I have to be fair. The only reason I remember that as well as I do is because for years my one friend would post that on my Facebook wall every one of my birthdays.
I still send it to people on their birthday. It's really funny. It's also funny because as goes with anything from an era previous to mine, the narrator and the person telling the story is clearly someone famous. Like they look like they're somewhat like I don't know how, like on The Simpsons when like a celebrity guest star shows up and they're given extra attention to be animated well, so you could tell who they are by looking at them.
Yeah.
That's what this guy is. It's like this, and then at the end, it's like this guy is the narrator, and it's like, oh yeah, clearly, if you were alive in the 1970s, you know who this random guy is who's telling this story and who is singing the Frosty the Snowman song. But that one features an evil magician whose hat is the reason that Frosty comes to life. So he is chasing after Frosty, and eventually they realize that the only thing they could do is to go to the North Pole. So they try to get Frosty to the North Pole, but the girl nearly freezes to death until they eventually run into Santa, who brings Frosty back to life because Frosty can come back to life because he is comprised of Christmas snow. And Santa goes and he punishes he gives the magician a punishment of like, you need to go write lines about why you shouldn't be such a dickhole. And
I remember there's a part where Frosty goes into a greenhouse and he melts.
And it's funny because it cuts away and it cuts to the girl who's just crying, who basically slowly had to watch Frosty die. Like this seems like it would be traumatic.
But as Olaf says, some people are worth melting for.
And then finally, the final one I watched was The Year Without Santa Claus, which is the only one of these I would characterize as being bad. It was bad. It was not very good.
How bad, audience, say it with me. How bad was it?
The audience didn't say it with you.
They might have. In their minds later when they watch this on Spotify.
That is true. You don't watch it on Spotify. You listen on Spotify.
You could watch it on Spotify. There's people on Spotify who have videos and stuff on Spotify.
That is true. I don't post it in video on Spotify.
But you could, is the point.
I could. Is that something if the audience demands it, I will do it. But so this final one, it's bad. It's the framing device of this one is Santa Claus gets sick and decides that he doesn't want to. Well, it's two ideas. It's Santa Claus is sick and can't do Christmas, but Mrs. Claus is trying to show Santa Claus that one person.
Thank you, Hakime. Hakime says I said it in my headspace.
Good.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. So the frame, it's weird. It's Santa Claus is too sick to do Christmas, but also Santa Claus is disillusioned with the idea of Christmas and feels like nobody cares about him anymore. And so Mrs. Claus, played by a celebrity who is famous of the day, she sings a whole song where she's like, why don't I just do Santa Claus? I mean, he's sick. I could do Santa Claus, and then the whole gag is that it's ridiculous that a woman would be Santa Claus.
A woman can't be Santa Claus. This is the 1960s. Get back in the kitchen.
She can't be Santa Claus. She's Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus can't be. And she sings this whole song about how the entire notion of her being Santa Claus is inherently ridiculous. It's really weird. So she determines, okay, we have to do Plan B. And so Plan B is to send two elves to find one person who has enough Christmas spirit to show show Santa Claus that Christmas is still worth doing, even though the entire movie or the entire special, Santa Claus has the horrible flu, and it seems like the lesson here is just find Santa Claus a suitable backup. He just needs a suitable second in command that can just do it when he needs to tap out for a year.
You know, like his wife.
Right, like his wife who could just throw on a hat and pretend to be Santa Claus for an evening. No one actually sees you when you do this, Santa Claus. Just so long as somebody does it, that's all that matters. And so, Santa Claus eventually discovers this plot, and he goes to chase after these two elves. and the two elves who are walking around asking people whether or not they want Santa to come. At one point, they go up to these like these teenagers who are like, "Yeah, we don't really care because we're teenagers and we're too old to believe in Santa Claus." Um, and so they get busted by the cops who take their they have a reindeer with them, Vixen. They've been flying around on Vixen, and Vixen gets taken to the pound, and Vixen can't be has to go home because it's getting sick because it needs to be in cold weather because it's a reindeer. Um, and yeah, eventually Santa shows up and saves the day. Santa being played by Mickey Rooney. Um,
That's
and
a person.
oh, you not know Mickey Rooney by name?
I recognize the name, but I don't.
You would recognize him if you heard him. Um,
Probably.
and so much of it is not even puppeteered. A lot of it is just they take the puppets and they just film the puppets moving. So there's so many shots of like Santa Claus's sleigh flying where it's just
So you
static
say
shots of it's not even really puppetry
you?
or stop motion.
I was gonna say you say puppetry. You mean stop motion,
Yeah, it's
right?
not even really stop motion. It's just they've got the puppets that they use for the stop motion and they just pan the camera so the puppets just move. It looks bad.
uh,
Like as cheap as these things, and half the time the characters' lips don't even move.
that's fair. That's fair. I understand.
It's just they're
It
just
was.
not
It was.
very.
It was the
But
1960s.
yeah, it's truly incredible how many things that Rankin Bass produced and made and created and did. Like they've made way more stuff. They did the little drummer boy, which I don't think I've ever actually seen, but I'm aware of.
Okay, I
Um,
understand.
yeah, that's it.
I accept.
That's the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. At least the ones I watch. Leave a comment. Let me know what's your favorite Rankin Bass Christmas special,
If there are any.
if indeed you have any. Which you got it. Everyone loves Rudolph and Frosty.
I mean, for me, it's Frosty.
Everyone loves Frosty or Rudolph or Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay, so my second have seen is I mean, it's a modern retelling of A Christmas Carol. That's right. You thought I only did two of them, but I did more than two.
But I did a
I
third
also
one.
I also did Spirited.
A movie that is also
Um,
good.
Hakime says Frosty and Peanuts.
Peanuts is also good.
Um, yeah, it's a modern retelling of Christmas Carol where basically Will Ferrell has been doing the same, haunting a person and making them three Christmas ghosts and making them good all in one night for years and years and years. They call them seasons, but years and years. And then he's gonna try and redeem an irredeemable, which is Ryan Reynolds, and it turns the whole Christmas Carol story on its head. And I don't want to give away at all because it's genuinely very good, and more people should watch it.
Yeah, it is a
But
severely underrated Christmas movie that I think more people would see if it wasn't trapped on Apple TV.
I did not watch it on Apple
I
TV.
also did not watch it on Apple TV.
Wink,
Wink your face.
wink.
Wink your face.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Wink your face.
Um, but yeah, without giving away all the details, it's just it's enjoyable and it has two really solid songs.
I like most of the songs. Honestly, my only real criticism is there's one bad song. They're really obsessed with one joke, and it's the notion of saying "good afternoon." For whatever reason, they thought it was hilarious. It becomes its own song. It is legit the worst song in the movie. It goes on for a eternity.
See, what's funny is as I was watching the Jim Carrey one, at the point where the nephew is trying to convince Scrooge to go to dinner, and Scrooge keeps saying "Good afternoon," and I was like, "Oh, he just swore."
Like
He
somebody,
just he just told his nephew to fuck off. Whoa.
Yeah, somebody who wrote Spirited really thought that that joke was clever. They wrote an entire musical number around it, and it's the worst song in the movie, and it goes on
Um,
forever,
um,
forever.
that being said, Do a Little Good is really good.
I like Do a Little Good. I like
I also like Unredeemable.
Unredeemable. I like Ripple. I like Ripple.
It's
Um,
okay.
I like I like Bringing Back Christmas. I enjoy that one too.
I mean, I like them all. It's just I don't like them all enough to put on a playlist.
Yeah, fair enough. And we're gonna spoil it. We're gonna spoil this movie. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's totally worth it. It's really good. The music's good. I mean, it's a Paul and Pasek. They're all gonna be earworms. Paul and Pasek did Greatest Showman and Dear Evan Hansen. And as I'm saying this, you're probably think, oh yeah, that explains why I like the music. Um,
I already knew that. You told me that that's how you got me to watch it in the first place.
yeah. It's Paul and Pasek.
Um,
They make good. They make
um,
earworms.
so what's funny about it is that um, I, I just would never have thought that Will Ferrell would be as good in it as he
Man, he is
is.
passionate about it. He's got a producer credit, and I know I bring this up every time we talk about this movie, but it continues to be funny that he gets three solos, three solos.
Yeah,
One of which
I
was
just
cut and then put back into the post credits.
I just would not have thought of him to be a musical
Like
type.
Ryan Reynolds doesn't get three solos. He gets like one solo and it gets cut off. How do I get two solo? No, because I wouldn't even count Bringing Back Christmas as a solo. Like he gets like one solo and it gets cut off.
Um, but if we're talking spoilers, um,
We're gonna spoil it.
the
We're gonna spoil
point,
this.
yeah, spoilers. The point where you find out that Will Ferrell's character is Ebenezer Scrooge,
That's very vague.
genuinely, the first time I watched it, genuinely I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's a pretty clever twist. It does make you go, wait. So like, how did
Did
so it's he's a
did
real
Dickens
guy,
did Dickens hear about it and base the story on him? Was he also haunted by the three ghosts, and that's why he knows about all of that?
right?
Like, what's the logic
It
there?
does get
And
oddly dark in the third act. I will say that.
well, yes, but to be fair, that is the Christmas Carol influence. All of the Christmas Carol stories get dark in the third act. That's kind of the point.
I suppose, but I more meant like the fact that I mean, yeah, the kid killed himself. That is kind of, but I meant the fact that he dies in the end. Now
Yeah,
that's dark.
but he's Tiny Tim. He doesn't die in the end.
Clint dies
Oh,
in the end.
you mean Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
dies. Yeah,
Like
yeah. I thought you meant the kid.
No, the kid doesn't actually die, but the fact that Ryan Reynolds dies at the end, I'm like, that's kind of dark.
Kind of, but also he breaks death.
Yeah, true. He does hack
He's
death a little
not.
bit.
He hacks death. He's able to visit people that are alive, and he's not really dead.
And like, what is that? What is the concept of the other world in this universe? Like, do I get a choice? Can I go work for the Christmas singing dancing department? Because I'll do that. That seems like kind of an okay gig.
See, my thing is more. I'm on the opposite side. I'm like, do I have to go work for the musical? Is that a punishment for some people? Some people volunteer, but is that other people's version of hell?
And like,
Like
also
the guy who's working on the set design in the background, he's not leading or in charge. He's just doing grunt work. That's work.
and also like, do I
My
stand?
actor,
Do I start off
my
as the guy standing off to the side watching them, and then I work my way up to choreography? Is that how that works?
like. There's a lot of questions,
I've got a
and
lot of questions.
we will never get the answer unless
Not
they somehow make a
no.
sequel.
Yeah, they did put this in the theaters for a bit last year, and it didn't do crazy well. Again, which is a shame. This is one of those ones that if it had gone to theaters, I swear it would have done like a proper theatrical run. I think it would have done way better.
I tend to agree, but I really enjoy it, and I do recommend it for people to
It's totally
watch.
worth it if you have Apple TV or other means. Winky face.
Yo ho,
Yo ho.
yo ho.
Uh, Pirate's life. For me. Ho ho ho. Ho. Winky face.
But that's Spirited.
It's like enjoyable movie. My second had seen is a movie called Fred Claus, not Fred Claus. That's a different one. Arthur Claus. And it's my favorite kind of Santa Claus movie, where it's like Santa Claus doesn't do it all by himself illogically, and he has a network of people who all help him out. And
It's family.
in this case, yeah, it turns out that Santa Claus is familial, passed down from generation to generation name, and they're not all named Santa Claus. It's a title. So the current Santa Claus is, I believe, Murray Claus or something to that effect. He's not actually Santa Claus, and he is on the verge of retirement. And his son Steve Claus has set up a computer system and an intricate system in which the elves, like Black Ops style, deliver presents without a child ever knowing. And there's a mistake in the system, and one child accidentally gets missed. And Grandpa Claus and Arthur, the current Santa Claus's youngest son, who is a bit eccentric and a bit goofy, are tasked with getting, or the self-imposed task, to get the present to this child before Christmas, so the child can believe in Santa Claus.
It's cute.
And it is really cute. It's surprisingly, and this surprised me, made by Aardman. Aardman being the people who make Wallace and Gromit.
Oh!
Yeah, I know. It surprised me. I was like, huh.
I see it now that you say that.
Right?
I see it because of Grandpa Claus.
Yeah. I really love James McAvoy as Arthur Christmas. His scream. He has this really fun scream that reminds me of Richard Horowitz.
I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit.
He's got a really fun scream. It's a really fun character, and yeah, it's really cute. It's really wholesome, really fun, really funny. Trying to think anything
specific
I had to say about it. I really like the animation and the art style. I would totally watch another one of these. Nope.
Kind of surprised that we never got another one.
I know, right? It's really well received to the point that I'm like, they only really made one other 3D animated movie, and that was Flushed Away, which was with DreamWorks apparently. Other than that, Aardman has always been stop motion, and I'm like, man, they're really quite good at this. Like, they should have a more prolific studio. It kind of makes me go, I kind of want to do another animation episode where I talk about Aardman. Because yeah, they should be a way bigger studio and have way more films than they do, because they're really good. And the third act where ultimately Steve Claus decides that he's not going to be a very good Santa Claus, and obviously Arthur becomes Santa Claus, and the current Santa Claus retires, and they're all like really obsessed with the idea of being Santa Claus more than like what Santa Claus actually means. And I just remembered. I remembered something I forgot. Since that's all I have to say about Arthur Christmas, I realized I forgot to mention Christmas Chronicles. I didn't put that in my list. I got recommended that from a short I saw from friends of the show, Average Intelligence Podcast. Eric from the Average Intelligence Podcast. He recommended Christmas Chronicles, and that movie is Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. And that the two things that are kind of funny about that movie, basically, it's one of those like, there's an older brother and a younger sister, and the younger sister believes in Santa Claus, and the older brother doesn't believe in Santa Claus, and they accidentally wind up in Santa Claus's sleigh, and Santa Claus crashes the sleigh, and it's about them trying to find Santa Claus's sleigh and reindeer and stuff before Christmas, and they can save Christmas. And it's called Christmas Chronicles.
Because there's more than one?
Well, that's what's so funny. For a movie called Christmas Chronicles, it kind of connotates the movie's more epic than it is, but it's not. It's really more like a Disney Channel original movie. It doesn't really have anything too epic, or the plot's very simple, and like there's a second one, and I have no idea how could there possibly be a second one. But Kurt Russell, he's so weird. It's like he's thin, and he's got this running joke where he's obsessed with the idea that Santa Claus is fat. Like, you know how the world has this idea that Santa Claus is fat? Well, he's really he's really self-conscious about that. He just can't stand it for whatever reason. So anytime he sees like a fat Santa Claus, he gets all upset about it. It's really weird. The elves are like little tiny creatures that speak Elvish. So Santa Claus really only ever really speaks Elvish. He rarely gets to speak English. Um, and what else about it? The only other funny thing about it is Mrs. Claus is played by Goldie Hawn, which is his real life partner. They've been
Oh,
together for like 40
that's cute.
years.
That's cute.
That's it. That's Arthur Claus and a Christmas Chronicles. I quite enjoyed Christmas Chronicles. Like I said, there's a second one. I have no idea how. I'll probably watch it for next year. That's it. That's all my have scenes.
All right. So we're gonna move into have not seen.
The have nitty not scenes.
So I hope you like A Christmas Carol, because we're gonna talk about it for a fourth time.
Oh God, not more Christmas Carol.
Um, and I mean, what can I say about Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, other than nobody infiltrates A Christmas Carol movies like Gaston?
Nobody sings the best songs in that movie like Gaston.
Because Scrooge is played by the guy who did the live action version of Gaston.
The only reason we've seen this movie is because of TikTok. Because I saw the clip of the I can't remember the name of it, but the one song.
It's
Take my hand, come with me now, and
where is
you'll
it?
fly free. No more.
Tell Me?
I think it's Tell Me.
Or no, it's Later Never Comes.
Later Never Comes. That's it. I saw a clip of that on TikTok, and I was like, "What is this? Surely all the music in this movie must be as good as this one." It's not. It's not really.
I would say the only one which is as good as it is the song "Tell Me," which is yet again like it's one of the ones that Gaston sings.
Yeah, yeah. It's otherwise an all right movie that's just kind of forgettable.
It's I mean, it's got stuff in there that I like. I like the interpretation of Ghost of Christmas Past. I like
that's fun.
I
You're
like
right.
the characterizations, and I like the animation, and like it looks cute and it looks fun. It very much reminds me. I described it as this, and I kind of tend to stick with it. It reminds me of like a early 2000s straight to Disney DVD movie.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Which works. Like it's not bad, but it's not like breaking any boundaries or anything. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is, and I think it does it decently well. It's not like the worst version of Scrooge that I watched this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Okay, I watched 3 musicals.
I would say it probably was.
I've watched 3 musicals, so I compare those 3 against each other. I don't really put the Jim Carrey one in the same category
Yeah, fair enough.
because it's kind of a completely different vibe.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I like them all for different reasons. Like this one kind of just feels like it's and it was an artistic choice, which I thought was interesting. Scrooge feels younger in this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Like his portrayal, the way he looks, the way he feels younger. And so it's kind of just it was a breath of fresh air considering in all the other ones he's like an 80-year-old guy. Here he feels like late 50s,
Yeah.
60 at most. And that really does bring like a different energy to the character. I also really appreciated in this one, he has Marley's dog from the beginning, and he genuinely seems to love and like the dog, and so it kind of how in Cumber Grinch's version of the Grinch, it makes him seem more approachable and more like, because he also loves his dog in that version.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch, he's kind of an asshole towards Max.
Yep.
So the fact that like you see, Ebenezer in this one loves the dog or likes the dog at least, it just makes him seem like less of a Scrooge.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That does, yeah.
Which kind of seems to line up to I saw it was a Reddit post which I saw which described this, whereas in the original story Scrooge, because they looked into comparing what Bob Cratchit made versus like whether that was an actually a fair wage. 15 crowns a day, which in terms of from what I read anyway from this Reddit post back in the day would have been considered that was a fair wage.
Yeah.
It didn't cover. The thing is that it didn't cover like his Tiny Tim's sickness, but it was like for an average family size and a normal family back in the day, it was fair, and that's because in the original story, Scrooge was considered to be a very fair and reasonable businessman. By the book, didn't do anything underhanded, which is where in a lot of these stories where he's portrayed really bad in terms of business, that going from what I understand anyway, that kind of goes against what the actual character is supposed to be.
Huh.
um he's supposed to be very like fair to a fault when it comes to business, to the point where like the thing that makes him bad in terms of old-timey times is that he won't go above and beyond. So like for Cratchit, his family is sick, he doesn't consider that to be his problem. He pays him a fair day's wage. That should then be Cratchit's problem,
Right.
right? That's what makes him bad in the original story, is because the point was supposed to be for like on Christmas and around that season, you should be going above and beyond,
Gotcha.
not just the bare minimum.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
so it's been fascinating. I guess my ultimate summation of the Christmas Carol experience is it is absolutely fascinating experiencing four different versions of the same
What
story
was the
and seeing
what was the character's name? It was Small Sam?
so for which what
It was no, it wasn't Small Sam. It was abnormally small.
I no, I think you mean Tiny Tim.
What was it? It
It's
was. You think it was
you're
slightly smaller.
you're talking about Bob Cratchit's son, the one who dies, or if Scrooge doesn't change his ways.
Yeah, yeah,
Tiny
yeah.
Tim
No, no,
with a
no. It wasn't. It
crutch.
wasn't Tiny Tim. It was.
No, it was absolutely Tiny Tim.
It was
Justin,
slightly
no, no,
shorter.
Justin, I know you're doing a bit. You're trying to be funny. I watched four different movies, four different versions of this movie on Christmas Caroled Out. It was Tiny Tim. Accept it and move on.
All right, all right. That's fair. Is that it? Is that it for Christmas
That's
Carol?
it.
No,
That's it.
no more Christmas
Bah,
Carol.
bah, humbug.
Bah humbug indeed. So now for my haven't seen, I got two. Both are about Sandy Claus. I watched the one movie, Red One, which is it's J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus. The Rock is the Santa Claus's bodyguard. It's got Chris Evans, and Chris Evans is a guy who he finds people, and Santa Claus gets kidnapped. And without spoiling anything, do you care if I spoil this movie?
A little bit. I'd like to watch it.
Okay, here's what I will say.
Is it worth watching?
Yes, it's all right.
All right, then keep it. You know,
Okay, here's what I will say. I'm good. Okay, I'm gonna tell you some of the characters that appear in this movie. Because they are kind of clever, in that you won't get them by name, unless I say them. Then you will get them, and it'll make you'll get what I mean. So okay, so this is otherwise a very boring terrorist movie. It's just got Christmas shit on top of it. So it's a very basic. Santa Claus gets kidnapped by a terrorist, and the terrorist wants to enact a big bomb, and the big bomb is going to do something that's going to ruin Christmas. That's it. That's what the movie is. But it's got Krampus shows up, and it is Santa. And what's interesting is, okay, so the history of Krampus, for those of you who don't know Krampus is often seen in the media as being like the anti-Santa Claus, as being like the opposite of Santa Claus. And so when Santa Claus was kind of first introduced, he was Santa Claus's partner. So he would punish kids, and then Santa Claus would give kids presents. But it was seen as redundant and unnecessary and confusing and illogical for a saint to have a partner that would
A
harm.
demon?
Yeah, that harmed children. So he got cut out of the Santa Claus myth. Um, and so that's basically a part of this movie. Is Krampus is Santa Claus's brother, and he helped Santa Claus until he became obsessed with the naughty list, and that's the whole thing. That's why they broke up. And there's a character in this called the one of the characters in this is called like I can't remember her name, but she's basically they describe her in this movie as a Christmas witch, and she exists in Nordic mythology. Exactly how she's described in this movie. She's like a troll witch shape-shifting character, and her sons are the Yule lads. They are also shapeshifters and they help her and whatnot. And those are very much true to Nordic Christmas mythology. So, like, if you know Nordic Christmas mythology, you're like, wow, these are some oddly specific, like, Marvel level, like, references to Christmas mythology that, like, I only appreciated because I was reading about Christmas mythology while I was watching the movie. But, like, if you don't know who, it starts with a G. But if you don't know who this character is, they're not going to mean anything to you. It's one of those kind of movies. And, like, if it didn't have, like, the Christmas stuff on top of it, it's otherwise a very generic movie. Also, Chris Evans is doing a weird accent for some reason, and he can't do it, so it keeps failing. So one minute he has an accent, the next minute he doesn't. It's one of those movies.
Got it.
Also, Santa Claus is jacked. So you're kind of, they do kind of explain it a little bit, but you're just kind of like, wait, I don't understand how anyone could physically overpower this Santa Claus. He could break you. They describe him as like burning like 400,000 calories per year. But it's another one of those like he is one cog in an otherwise very large machine of like people who all like one of the people who work, Mrs. Claus works for him, and they all coordinate. Like I it's one of the things I kind of appreciated about these movies where they were like, okay, Santa Claus in the modern world, obviously Santa Claus would upgrade his process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just you have to.
You have to. He wouldn't do it the same way. So now it's like, yeah, they're all hyper trained and hyper competent, and like they all help him. Although it's confusing because it's not made clear whether or not like the people who live and work at the North Pole are human or not. It's very confusing. Yeah, it was all right. It's not great, but it's not. I thought it was okay. Like I thought it was about as good as any other Rock movie, which is to say,
Fine.
fine. It's fine. Joe, what's your final half scene?
My final half scene. So, this is the one, Justin. This is the one that's gonna make people hate me. I watched Elf, and I kind of hate it.
Look, man. It never interested me.
I don't get it. I don't get where this love for it comes from. Um, he's a annoying character.
He's so annoying.
And like we don't talk about the fact that he just kind of she's having a shower. You might have grown up in the North Pole, but you know that that's inappropriate to sit there while she's in the shower. You have bathrooms. You have showers there. Do you walk in on other elves when they're having showers? No. Then why do you think it's all of a sudden appropriate to do that when you're in the human world, buddy? It's not cool. It's weird and creepy. And like he's this gigantic man child who no, it's just
I don't like it.
Okay. So if you've ever seen the movie Big, which I've talked about it on here, but the child becomes an adult, that works because he looks like an adult, but on the inside he is ultimately a child. But here the rest of the elves don't act like children. Yeah, they're high spirited and they're like really into Christmas and stuff, but they don't, to me anyway, act like children. Especially Papa Elf, the one that he has, he acts like an adult.
Right?
What did you elves drop Buddy on his head when he was a kid? Is that why he acts the way he does?
Yeah, like did you not treat him like a regular person? Why didn't you raise him like an adult?
And so I watched this movie, And
I
it's like
watched this movie.
it it follows the typical thing of like the dad, like so he goes to New York to meet his dad, and his dad is the workaholic type who's focused on his job, and he has his own kid and his own family. um his wife
So
is
did the dad
Clara
like fuck
from
an elf or like what's the deal here?
no the dad fucked a regular woman. Buddy is not a half elf. Buddy is a human who wandered into accidentally wandered into he was living in an orphanage and accidentally wandered into Santa's sack when Santa was delivering presents, and Santa brought him back to the North Pole. And instead of Santa bringing him back to the orphanage like a responsible person was, they abduct this child and he gives him to one of his elves
All
to
right,
raise.
all right, all right.
Um, he's like, oh well, fuck it. He's an orphan anyway. Nobody wants him anyway, and decides to keep him, um, like a pet. Um, and so yeah, there's a point where the dad, where Buddy's half brother, who is the kid, who likes Buddy for some reason, even though I find Buddy to be a profoundly unlikable character, but anyways, Buddy has been doing nothing but harassing his dad the entire movie, and is just fucking things up for him. And it hits a point where his dad is in this meeting. Also, there's this whole section where you have I can't remember the actor's name. Peter Dinklage. You have Peter Dinklage is this really famous guy who they're trying to get to do a book deal because he works at this book company. And Buddy comes in and keeps calling him an elf, to which he's obviously getting angrier and angrier, and ends up like fucking leaving. And I'm just like, this isn't funny. This is offensive.
Right?
Like, am I just has living in the world that I live in made me, and I hate using this word, too woke?
It's
Am I too
it's
woke to
piecing on
enjoy this
it's
movie?
piecing on Mad Jordan. It's piecing on Mad.
Uh, and then yeah, it hits a point where the half brother is like, I can't find Buddy. Like I need your help, Dad. And Dad's in the middle of this big important meeting, and the boss is like, if you leave now, like you're fired, basically. And he's like, the dad is like, basically like, fuck you, I quit. And I'm like, really, for the guy that thinks he's an elf, you're gonna throw your career away? I mean, one could argue he's throwing his career away for the son he does like,
Right?
but but no, you, no, nothing that Buddy has done in this movie has made that action warrantable.
I mean,
He's been
fair
he's
enough.
been nothing but he's been nothing but a nuisance and an idiot this entire time. And again, I want to say I find him deeply unlikable. Um, he, I don't understand. I know this is a very popular movie that a lot of people have a deep nostalgia and love for, and I don't get it. So like at the end of the book or end of the movie, it ends up where his dad starts his own publishing company using this book, which is based off a totally fictitious story about an elf who comes to New York to meet his dad. And basically, he profits off of Buddy, and Buddy's story. And the book ends with Buddy is in the library reading the book about his own life. And I'm just like,
All right.
I I don't get it. I don't get why this movie is so beloved.
I've never
I
gotten it.
I don't get it. Like it's not like other movies where it's like, yeah, kid gets turned into an adult and it's wacky hijinks. It's no, it's man child doesn't know how to function in
Or
human
or like if
society.
any of the other
And
elves acted like him, it's just an inconsistent sounding characterization.
they
Why are
they
you like this,
kind of
buddy?
they kind of do, but like they don't leave the North Pole. They live in a place where that makes sense. And I guess it's supposed to be a fish out of water story, but he's so irritating that it's not fun for me.
Yeah, fair enough. It's never looked appealing to me.
I Yeah, I walked away from this movie, and I mean, there's a couple points here and there which I laughed, but overall, I just found it to be an exhausting experience, and I was glad when it was done.
That's fair.
That's all I have to say about Elf.
Well, to round this up, my final have not seen was a little movie that, according to Netflix, is Academy Award nominated called Klaus. And the very basic concept of it is, the idea of writing a letter to Santa Claus.
I mean, yes, it's a very ancient pastime.
Well, this movie
Kids have
is
been, kids have been doing it since the 1500s.
this movie is that true?
I have no idea, but it could be.
It could be true. This movie is the origin of Santa Claus and where that comes from. And it turns out that Santa Claus is sort of the okay. Well, it's about a rich son of a postmaster who is sent to a really far away Nordic village where it is two feuding families who both hate each other and have no desire to have any mail or anything sent to each other. This mailman runs into this gentleman named Klaus, a toy maker, played by J.K. Simmons, and they become friends. And they
J.K.
essentially
Simmons. Wasn't he the one in the last one, too?
he was, yeah. And they basically
Whoa.
end up crafting this identity of this mythical being of Santa Claus, where they're trying to. I'm not going to give too much of this away because it's genuinely very good, and there's some good twists and turns. But it's a lot of like, oh, Santa Claus is just a regular guy, so there's perfectly reasonable explanations for all of it. So like, oh, how can Santa Claus fit down all of our chimneys? And it's because Santa Claus is actually two guys. Santa Claus is the big guy and the little mailman, who he's the one who's doing all the squeezing into chimneys and sneaking into places and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And at one point they're like how Santa Claus can fly. Why do the kids think Santa Claus can fly? Because the sleigh that they have, because basically the plot of it is the mailman, he wants to get out of the town and go back to being rich. In order to do that, he needs to deliver 6,000 letters, and so he becomes friends with Klaus, this toy maker, who has all these excess toys, who he wants to deliver to kids. And so he gets the kids. If the kids deliver the letters, they'll bring him a toy, and they deliver these toys like late at night or whatever. And yeah, so it becomes Klaus becomes this like larger than life kind of figure amongst the children who all want toys, and it's all inadvertently making them into better people, which is causing all of the people in the village to become better people. And it's just really sweet. The music's really good. The ending gets really emotional. It's well acted, well performed. The animation is stunning. Like, it is beautifully animated.
So I knew that this was going to elicit something like this. Hakime says, "Boo! Elf is amazing." I think you're wrong.
You know what? Next year I'll watch Elf and I'll tell you who's right. I will definitively tell you who's right.
It's me. I'm right.
It's really good though. It's really good. It's really cute. Again, it gets really emotional at the end. The ending was kind of a gut punch. I was like, ooh, this got me. And it's one of those movies where, just like I said for Spirited, I think this has the potential to be a real Christmas classic. It is on Netflix. It is worth checking it out. Jordan, you should check it out.
I just might do that.
It's really quite good.
Hakime says, "Elf was okay, but I did laugh way more than I thought I would."
I mean, that's good. Somebody has to like that movie.
Yeah, I don't understand how anyone could.
But I think that's it. That's it for Christmas. That's the Christmas special. I'm taking this hat off.
I'm
taking the hat off.
Taking
the hat. I took the hat off. For those of you listening on Spotify, I took the hat off. It's time
we both took the hat off.
It's time for the assignment for next week. Next week, it's the end of the year. Well, it's our end of the year. It's going to be the last episode of the year. And as such, we're going to catch up on some stuff we missed. And we're going to craft maybe a top 5. Top 5?
Are you telling me or asking me? You're the one in charge.
That sounds like a good number to you, top 5?
Sure.
Or more. We'll say top 5. Top 5 best movies of the year. Basically, the one rule is it has to have come out last year, whether you've seen it or not. But try to pick for the stuff you have seen, the stuff you really liked. And then for the stuff you haven't seen, Yeah, we're gonna try to hit as many things. We're gonna talk about Venom 3, I guess is the point. Just expect us to talk about Venom 3 next week. Yeah, that's next week. And then after that, first show of the year, we're gonna go back to the year we were born, I think. I think I've decided that's what we're gonna do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh
That seems like a fun
my.
place to start the year. But have a Merry Christmas, everybody. This was our Christmas special. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, uh, um,
Crazy Kwanzaa.
a tip top tet, and a very
And a
solemn
solemn,
and
solemn and
religious
religious
Ramadan.
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 Yeah, that one.
We upset somebody there. I just know it. Jordan,
I
where
mean,
can they find you? Where can Hakeem find you?
yes, you will see us next week, Hakime. You can see me on Monday on Twitch. I do Zethgore187. I do Minecraft Mondays.
I am on TikTok. I'm Justin Spurr on TikTok. You can also the show is on TikTok for as long as we can be on TikTok anyway. Uh, we have a Discord, the link of which should be a fresh link in the description. Vote for us in the arties. If you want to be on the show, you're more than welcome to. All we ask is that you fill out the little Google form in the description below. If you have some sponsor, you want to sponsor the show, pay us money to sell your stuff, you can email the show. That's in the description. I think that's it. That's all. Vote for us in the armies.
Happy Festivus.
Have a merry and happy non-denominational holiday festivus. We will see you next week for the end of the year special, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.
That's